On his 15th birthday, a young man kneels in a grand hall, thinking of his father's teachings. A high priest announces the sacred ceremony to receive a job and begin a new journey. With eyes closed in prayer, the youth receives the rite of class change, hoping for a blessing. In a barren wasteland, the same young man chases a small, gelatinous monster, yelling for it to wait. He pants heavily, clearly weary from the long and arduous pursuit. Breathing hard, he confirms that he has finally managed to corner his quarry. Gripping his dagger, he identifies the creature as a troublesome wind slime with a determined glare. With a fierce battle cry, he lunges toward the slime, ready to attack it. A slimy tendril whips out with surprising speed, deflecting his dagger with a sharp clang. His eyes widen in complete shock at the monster's unexpected agility and power. The tendril wraps tightly around his arm, constricting his movement and trapping him. He cries out in pain and disbelief, struggling against the powerful grip. Overcome with panic, his mind races as he desperately wonders what he should do next. A memory of his smiling, goggle-wearing father flashes through his mind, offering encouragement. His father's voice urges him to have confidence, calling him the only one in this world who can. Declaring himself a novice, he bites down hard on the tendril in a bizarre counterattack. The slime is momentarily stunned by the strange tactic, giving him the opening he needs. With a triumphant, almost feral grin, he declares it's time to eat and plunges his blade forward. The slime dissolves into a gooey puddle with a wet splat, his dagger left standing in its remains. Slumping to the ground, he lets out a sigh of relief, having finally defeated one. He pulls a small, crystalline magic stone from the puddle's remains. Remarking that the fight was actually quite easy, he decides to check his status. A blue screen appears displaying his name, Jade, and his job as novice. His eyes lock on to the last line on the screen. He has earned 1 skill point. His eye widens, a look of pure delight and joyful surprise on his face. He kicks his leg up in a burst of pure glee, shouting his victory to the sky. A wide, knowing smile spreads across his face as a soft sound of satisfaction escapes him. He thinks to himself that this world is, just as he suspected, operating on familiar rules. The story flashes back several hours to a grand mansion, where his father is furious. His father, hand to his face in shame, bellows at Jade to get out of the house. Jade is stunned into silence by his father's sudden and incredibly harsh rejection. His father calls him a disgrace for having the audacity to return as a novice. With outstretched hands, Jade pleads with his father, begging him to wait and listen. His father callously tosses a small, heavy pouch through the air towards him. Jade catches the pouch, looking at it with a confused and hurt expression. His father coldly explains that it is severance pay, while others watch the scene in silence. With a furious glare, the man completely disowns him, declaring he is no longer his child. Now alone, Jade walks a lonely path away from his former home, clutching the pouch. His expression is one of deep sorrow and resignation at being cast out so completely. A memory of his father's angry, disappointed face flashes in his mind. He reflects that his father always cared more for appearances as he pours the coins into his hand. He feels utterly lost, convinced he is destined to die alone in some remote, forgotten land. Staring up at the vast, indifferent sky, he wonders what he is supposed to do with his life now. A searing, splitting pain suddenly erupts in his head, his vision blurring in agony. He collapses, his body falling through a mental void filled with blinding white light. After the agonizing headache passes, he realizes countless new scenes have flashed through his mind. He sees images of a VR headset and a gaming magazine, recognizing them as memories from his past life. A welcome screen for Novice is the strongest online solidifies his sudden, dawning understanding. He recalls living in a different world in a country called Japan, obsessed with the VR game NSO. His fragmented memories are all centered around NSO, its strategy guides and its lore. He remembers being the undisputed first-place player in an event ranking, a testament to his skill. He recalls the game's fundamental premise. Every player starts their journey as a novice. The ultimate goal of the game was to become the world's strongest, a title he proudly achieved. He remembers the reason why a novice could become the strongest, seeing images of advanced classes. The novice class, as the foundation for all others, held infinite, untapped potential. As the origin point for every job, its power was unique and boundless. The game's ultimate secret was that the strongest novice could acquire the skills of every single class. As the last of his headache fades, he realizes something profound about his current situation. He understands with a jolt that this world is a perfect, almost cruel, replica of the game NSO. The level of civilization, The various monsters that appear, and the existence of job classes like Knight and Mage all match the game's design. He thinks about how he was deemed a failure for not being able to change his class. Yet in his past life as a gamer, he had willingly chosen to remain a novice. He instinctively raises his hand, calling up his status screen once more. A glowing appears before him, displaying his stats for him to see. A massive, trembling grin spreads across his face as the full weight of his realization hits him. He throws his arms up in triumph, knowing that if this is NSO, he has won the ultimate lottery. After being cast out, he had to use his meager severance pay at a local shop. He visited a weaponsmith and bought a simple knife to begin his new journey. He knew he needed to hunt for SP and spent an entire hour chasing down a single slime. The story returns to the present, where he proudly holds the magic stone from his first point. He resolves to diligently save up SP, knowing he will grow weaker as he learns more skills. With practiced ease, he expertly dodges a slime surprise attack, ready to counter. He throws his knife with deadly precision, dispatching another fleeing slime. He moves with growing efficiency, carving through the weak monsters with focused strikes. A comical montage shows him getting tangled and flustered while fighting multiple slimes at once. After just 1 hour of dedicated grinding, he has already collected a pile of 10 magic stones. Sitting in the vast wasteland, he scrolls through his list of unacquired skills on a menu screen. He finds the search skill, which costs 10 SP, the exact amount he currently possesses. A prompt materializes in the air, asking for his confirmation to acquire the new skill. Without a moment's hesitation, his finger presses the glowing YES button. He recoils in shock as a disembodied voice announces the skill acquisition inside his own head. A confident, almost smug smile appears as he prepares to test his new search ability. Closing his eyes, a grid-like map appears in his mind, pinpointing nearby presences. His eyes snap open as he exclaims that it really works, sensing the distinct aura of slimes in the distance. A confident grin spreads across his face, knowing this new ability will be a great help. He clenches a fist, realizing finding slimes will now be easy, and he's safe from surprise attacks. He clutches a pouch at his side, now heavy with the magic stones he has collected. He looks towards a distant town, thinking that with these stones he can now create that. His long journey has taken a toll on him, leaving him weary. The fatigue from his efforts is clear on his face as he walks the quiet streets of the town. He enters a rustic inn, gesturing to the innkeeper for a room. By the dim light of a single candle, he sits at a desk, meticulously carving runes onto a magic stone. He holds up a magic stone, thinking about the magic tool he is currently creating. He reflects that while this is a job for a skilled craftsman, he can do it physically himself. He recalls his obsessive love for the game NSO, having memorized every single magic formation. He holds up the finished product, a glowing rune-carved stone, declaring it complete. He realizes with dismay that this was a rare item, and he still needs to make 9 more. He continues his laborious work, knowing this is a manual process that no standard skill can replicate. With a triumphant shout, the young man collapses onto his bed, his work finally done. The next morning dawns, a dragon-like creature soaring over the vast, desolate landscape. He enters a dense forest using his search skill to find monster presences. Peeking from behind a tree, a confident grin spreads as he finds his target. A ferocious rush boar emerges, a beast powerful enough to send warriors flying. Holding his new magic tool, he feels certain he won't die so easily now. The boar snorts loudly, its head snapping in his direction as it senses him. Startled by its awareness, he quickly activates his tool, shouting the command, "Change!" The small artifact in his hand shatters, unleashing its magic in a flash. A phantom shield materializes for an instant, signifying the spell's successful casting. He gives a satisfied smile, confirming his plan is working exactly as intended. The rush boar lets out a final pained cry as the spell fully takes hold. The mighty beast's legs buckle, and it collapses helplessly to the forest floor. Standing in the quiet woods, he reflects on the primary effect of his change tool. Approaching the now docile creature, he considers the first benefit, easily obtaining its core. He sits on the beast's back, contemplating the second and greater advantage. A dark, oppressive aura now surrounds the boar, a powerful debuff taking effect. With a determined expression, he raises his dagger to deliver the finishing blow. After the kill, he wipes his brow as a flock of birds scatters overhead. He reflects on the fact that every monster possesses a magic stone as its life source. He considers how a slime has its stone and a rush boar has its own. He recalls how he forcibly swapped the boar's powerful core with a weaker one. His status screen confirms a gain of 100 skill points from the successful hunt. A simple diagram illustrates his strategy of weakening the boar by swapping its core. The now anemic beast could not maintain its strength, making for an easy victory. He grins, realizing the true power of change is to weaken a target's very being. He knows the skill has limitations and cannot be used against all monster types. However, for mid-level creatures, it proves to be an incredibly effective tactic. Wiping his mouth, he feels pleased by the convenience of his search skill. He soon spots his next target, a massive hornet's nest clinging to a tree. A gigant hornet, a large and dangerous insect, crawls on the nest's surface. He identifies the formidable nest, a bead of sweat forming on his brow. Using search, he scans the hive, seeing the glowing forms of hornets within. He assesses the numbers, 2 outside, 6 inside, with 9 change tools left. He knows a normal party would need an antidote user or strong potions to survive. This kind of opponent could easily wipe out an entire unprepared group. With a confident smirk, he reveals a glowing runic pattern on his palm. He unleashes a volley of change tools, shouting the powerful activation command. The magic tools shatter in a flash, unleashing their power upon the nest. The gigant hornet is caught completely by surprise as the spell strikes it. The multiple tools dissolve into a cascade of glowing crystalline shards. The entire swarm of hornets is instantly neutralized, falling from the sky. Sitting on a fallen hornet, he admits his method is merciless but necessary for survival. A flurry of black slashes indicates the swift and brutal end of the battle. The remnants of his powerful attack fade into the quiet of the forest. Having accumulated 500 SP, he decides it's time to acquire useful skill. The skill he desires, storage, requires an investment of 100 points. Without hesitation, his finger presses the YES button to confirm the purchase. A voice announces the acquisition in his head, and he winces in annoyance. A glowing, card-like object materializes, representing the storage magic. He gestures towards the giant hornet's nest, preparing to absorb the entire structure. The massive hive is sucked into the swirling vortex of the storage card. He knows he can retrieve any stored item from this dimensional space at will. Reaching into the storage, he pulls out a vial of valuable ultra-royal jelly. With his task complete, he wonders what to do with the remaining spoils. He stands over the corpse of the rush boar, deciding to collect it as well. He reflects on why he couldn't acquire storage immediately after felling the beast. He recalls that the skill has a capacity limit that he needed to upgrade first. Using his remaining 400 points, he calculates he can enhance it 3 times. His status screen confirms that storage has been successfully enhanced by +3. Activating the upgraded skill, a much larger vortex opens before him. Clasping his hands together, he prepares to absorb his hard-earned prize. With a cheerful declaration, he announces that it is now time to eat. The massive beast is absorbed into his storage with a final, definitive sound. Looking out over the landscape, he decides to return to town and settle up. He soon arrives at the large, rustic Adventurers Guild building. Approaching the main door, he examines a sign with strange, runic script. The sign directs adventurers with large materials to a different processing area. He wonders aloud if the main trade encounter isn't inside the building. He spots the open-air dismantling facility where other adventurers are at work. Calling out to the receptionist, he struggles to push a large dimensional gate. He presents the gate, announcing his intention to sell the contents within. Sylvia, the receptionist, is flustered, demanding to know where he got it from. The massive severed head of the rush boar emerges, stunning her into silence. He sheepishly explains that he brought the beast in his storage space. Sylvia sweats, realizing storage is a unique skill exclusive to the novice class. She recalls that it is a dimensional bag with an expandable interior. Leaning in, she decides not to press the issue, though she remains suspicious. He nervously explains it as simple storage magic, but she remains unconvinced. She finds his explanation highly suspicious, having never heard of such a thing. Deciding to let it go for now, she sighs and agrees to process the sale. She cheerfully asks to see his adventurer's license to complete the transaction. An awkward silence falls between them, following her straightforward request. He admits with a blush that he doesn't actually have one yet. Sylvia is shocked, yelling that he can't possibly have defeated a rush boar. He explains he just started and hoped to get stronger before taking the test. She smiles knowingly, stating that anyone who can defeat a rush boar won't fail. He sweats nervously, knowing she is unaware of his secret change tool. A comical spotlight shines on Jade and Sylvia, both lost in silent thought. Sylvia sighs, agreeing to the sale, but says it's a waste not to register. Jade resolves to pass the test by acquiring some new offensive and defensive skills. A sudden idea strikes him as his eyes widen in a moment of realization. He and Sylvia eagerly agree that he should take the adventurer's exam immediately. She formally introduces herself as Sylvia, a slight blush on her cheeks. He introduces himself as Jade, and they shake hands, sealing their new acquaintance. Sylvia announces she will guide him to the main guild hall for the paperwork. Another receptionist peers over Jade's application, her eyes narrowed in confusion. She asks him to confirm if the novice job class written on his form is correct. With a bright, innocent smile, he confirms that it is, leaving her speechless. From a high balcony, she explains that for a novice, there is no way to pass the exam. The young man asks the receptionist if a monster subjugation mission could be his exam. Her excitement grows, sure he can pass, while he observes her obvious skepticism. Dashing off, the receptionist promises to fetch the examiner, leaving a flustered Jade. A vast and desolate rocky landscape stretches out under a cloudy sky. A towering, muscular man looms over the seated boy, offering a gruff greeting. The examiner questions if this is the reckless novice who dared to register. Visibly intimidated, the boy nervously confirms that he is indeed the one. The examiner, Ramon, declares he will intervene if the boy falters during the test. With a condescending grin, Ramon tells him to give up his adventuring ambitions. Jade looks up, his resolve clear, ready to challenge the examiner's dismissal. A confident smirk appears as he calmly states that he will not give up. His face lights up with a bright smile as he declares he will pass the test. Amused, Ramon agrees and lets the boy choose the location for the hunt. Politely accepting the offer, the young man prepares to lead them to the location. Their journey leads them to the entrance of the dense and foreboding West Forest. His eye narrows in concentration, activating a powerful search ability to find monsters. The two adventurers walk through the ancient woods, an air of tension between them. Ramon's eyes widen in disbelief at the boy's uncanny monster tracking skills. Ramon comments on his confidence, and the boy confirms he knows the way. Skeptical, Ramon questions if a novice like him can even use detection magic. His senses suddenly alert him to a large, powerful presence lurking very close. He confidently points the way forward, leading the skeptical warrior toward danger. Ramon's face contorts in terror, screaming at the boy to retreat immediately. Unfazed by the warning, Jade calmly asks why he should be concerned. A monstrous, ape-like earthquake is revealed, feasting on its recent kill. The creature's immense power is highlighted, its fanged maw a terrifying sight. Its heavy footfalls shake the earth, earning it the name Earthquake. It lives up to its tank killer reputation, shown decimating another party. Jade knows his unique change ability will be highly effective against his foe. With a confident smirk, he sits down, certain this fight will be easy. Ramon panics, shouting that they will both die if they don't flee immediately. Jade calmly states it is too late, as the monster has already noticed them. He explains he was simply biding his time, aware of the beast's power. Ramon clutches his head in despair, convinced that their escape is now impossible. He asks for permission to use a special magic tool for his unusual fighting style. Lost in terror, Ramon screams for him to do whatever he wants to save them. With permission granted, he prepares to activate the glowing crystalline magic tool. Shouting change. Зрение. Он разжимает мощь инструмента, которая взрывается энергией. The earthquake roars in fury, its face a mask of pure aggression. The tool transforms in his hand, becoming a spiky, glowing orb of power. A close-up shows the monster's roaring maw just before the spell takes effect. The colossal beast crashes to the ground, its massive body suddenly incapacitated. Stunned, Ramon asks how the earthquake fell as Jade holds the new orb. His face is a mask of pure disbelief as he demands to know what happened. Demanding an explanation, Ramon is told it was simply a change magic tool. The boy explains he swapped his processed magic stone with the monster's own. Now containing a slime stone, the creature's powerful body is rendered useless. Ramon struggles to accept that such an absurdly powerful tool could even exist. Jade states that the result before them is proof enough of its existence. He sits casually, holding the powerful magic stone he extracted from the beast. He explains a weaker stone would have only put the beast in a near-death state. His novice attacks would have been useless against the monster's tough hide. His only choice was to patiently wait for the perfect opportunity to strike. A sudden realization strikes Ramon, his eyes widening with a new aggressive idea. He sees this as his chance to land the final blow and defeat the beast. Raising his sword, he prepares to strike, startling the young boy beside him. Panicking, Jade insists that as his test, he must be the one to finish it. Ramon relents, and the boy says the beast will die on its own soon. Jade feels relieved, having narrowly prevented his skill points from being wasted. A system notification chimes, signaling that he has received his reward. His status screen confirms he has successfully gained 400 skill points from the kill. Gazing at the dead monster, he notes that he disposed of it safely. He decides to use half his new points to enhance his storage skill. With a determined smile, he prepares to perform his usual post-battle collection. Using his storage skill, he retrieves the entire corpse of the massive beast. Ramon is shocked again, demanding to know where the massive beast has vanished. Jade cheerfully explains the creature is now safely inside his storage magic. Impressed, Ramon finally understands, while Jade gives a confident thumbs up. He looks up uncertainly and asks the examiner if he has now passed the test. Ramon stares down at him, his stern expression softening into a knowing gaze. A slight, knowing smile forms on his lips as he makes his decision. He decides to pass him with the highest possible special considerations. The receptionist waves cheerfully as they depart from the guild's mountain outpost. The two walk away from the outpost, Jade giving a small parting wave. Upon their return, the receptionist welcomes them and asks about the test. Ramon explodes with praise, declaring the boy a powerhouse worthy of B rank. The receptionist is surprised, noting Ramon is not usually one for such praise. Announcing he will fetch the guildmaster, he dashes away, leaving Jade flustered. Jade thinks it's absurd the guildmaster would appear for a simple registration. The guildmaster arrives, questioning Ramon's push for an immediate B rank promotion. Ramon passionately recounts all the incredible events that unfolded during the test. The guildmaster strokes his beard, finding it hard to believe the boy's story. Ramon adds that since Jade stored the corpse, he can provide tangible proof. The receptionist confirms that Jade has indeed stated he can use storage magic. With a decisive look, the guildmaster demands to see this proof himself. The group gathers at the dismantling facility as Jade prepares his storage skill. He politely advises the others to stand back, warning that it could be dangerous. He raises his hands, preparing to release the massive beast from his storage. A swirling vortex appears as the massive beast begins to materialize from it. The colossal corpse of the earthquake slams onto the floor with immense force. The onlookers are stunned into shocked silence by the undeniable proof before them. The guildmaster stares in awe, muttering that he truly produced the beast. Jade then presents the second piece of evidence he retrieved from his storage. He holds up the spiky orb, the earthquake's original magic stone. The receptionist exclaims with delight that the mystery is finally solved. She remembers finding only a small, shattered fragment inside a previous monster. Where the magic stone should have been, there was only this mysterious fragment. The evidence presented by the boy perfectly explains their previous confusion. The guildmaster observes that the change tactic is not his usual method. With such thorough proof presented, he declares there is no longer any doubt. The guildmaster declares that Jade will be granted the highest possible special consideration. A receptionist formally presents Jade with his new adventurer's license, an E rank card. She explains that while Ramon wanted him to be B rank immediately, there were other considerations. The receptionist clarifies that adventurer rank isn't just about combat, but also contributions. With a sly look, she hints that there is more to his new rank. She reveals that instead, he has been registered as a special 3-star adventurer. With a flourish, she explains this allows him to take quests up to B rank. Jade thanks her, overwhelmed, while she cheerfully confirms his new status. At the counter, a clerk announces his payment for materials is 410,000 hours. Jade stares in awe at the mountain of coins as she breaks down the earnings. Using his storage skill, he absorbs the massive payment, feeling a sense of security. He thanks the clerk and leaves, rushing out as the sun sets to continue his work. Jade thanks the cheerful clerk, who enthusiastically tells him she looks forward to his return. As the sun sets, Jade leaps into the air, scattering coins for a ritual. Elsewhere, a younger Jade is shown diligently carving a magic stone at his desk. The next day, he stands on a cliff, determined to efficiently gather more skill points. He reflects on his preparations, crafting change items and enhancing his search skill. Activating his search, his vision expands into a powerful magical scope. The scope zooms rapidly across the vast rocky landscape in search of targets. His magical sight continues to scan the distant terrain for any signs of monsters. A look of success crosses his face as he announces he has found something. Following the trail, he makes his way down a path leading into a forest. His senses identify a nest of rush boars, gigant hornets, and fertile moles. He reaches into his dimensional storage, preparing a special magic tool for the task. He pulls out a cube-like device engraved with a swirling symbol, which begins to glow. Thrusting the item forward, he shouts its activation command, "Change!" A shield-like crest materializes before his hand, heralding the coming destruction. A cross-hatching slash of energy marks the boar, hornets, and moles for annihilation. A colossal explosion of energy erupts from his position, vaporizing everything nearby. His glowing hand absorbs the residual energy from the dispatched creatures into the cube. The cube pulses with power before the glowing crest shatters into pieces. A massive vortex of dark energy swirls violently around him as he stands unperturbed. The glowing crest shatters into pieces, its purpose fulfilled. The energy shatters and dissipates, leaving behind only motes of light. The last remnants of the magical crest vanish into the air. The magical energy completely dissipates, leaving the area silent for a moment. The swirling darkness coalesces, and tendrils of shadow begin to form around him. He stands calmly in the eye of the storm as the dark energy churns. The darkness solidifies, forming into a pack of terrifying shadowy wolves. He calmly acknowledges their arrival as the monstrous pack surrounds him. He identifies the creatures as phantoms, monsters that lack a physical body. He recalls their nature. They absorb most magic and are immune to physical attacks. He knows his change skill means instant death for these incorporeal beings. He summons several glowing, talisman-like versions of the change item. With another cry of change, зрение, он разряжает волну очищающего света. The phantoms are obliterated, leaving behind small, glowing orbs that fall to the ground. He picks up a phantom core, noting its ability to recharge magical energy. He muses that the cores will fetch a high price, storing them away. He reflects on what he has just done, a splash of water marking his thoughts. He realizes he has been intentionally causing magical disasters to summon phantoms. He recalls the principle: a standard magic circle, if misaligned, will not activate. However, a slight misalignment can trigger a chaotic, unintended magical phenomenon. This random event, a magical disaster, bypasses the original spell's effect. In his case, it absorbs monster energy to create entirely new creatures. He checks his status, pleased to see his SP is now 2,550. With his points secured, he decides to finally solidify his foundational skills. He invests heavily in body enhancement and martial arts, but feels it's not enough. He continues his phantom hunt, enhancing his skills further to +7 and +6. Feeling a surge of new power, he decides to test his newfound strength. He stands in a desolate field, preparing to gauge his enhanced physical abilities. He approaches a towering rock wall, contemplating its solid form for a moment. With a light, almost casual kick, he strikes the base of the rock. A deafening crack echoes as the entire cliff face begins to shatter. A massive chunk of rock is launched into the sky from his kick. A shockwave tears through the canyon, a testament to his incredible power. He walks away from the destruction, a weary but amazed look on his face. He marvels at his own strength, acknowledging it's no longer human. He decides he wants to test his combat skills before returning. His eyes lock onto a new presence, his expression shifting to one of interest. He spots a shadow wrestler in a tree, the perfect opponent he was looking for. He knows the beast is weaker than others but has ferocious, relentless attacks. Despite its ferocity, he also knows it has a clear, exploitable weakness. He resolves to defeat it without using change, for a true test of skill. With a determined look, he prepares himself for the coming battle. The shadow wrestler drops from the tree, snarling and baring its fangs. Jade stands his ground, calmly facing the beast's intimidating presence. The ape cups its hands to its mouth and lets out a deafening roar. Jade's eye narrows, his focus absolute as he anticipates the charge. He meets the monster's open palm strike, the impact creating a shockwave. He is momentarily surprised by the raw power behind the attack. Using the momentum, he vaults onto the charging ape's broad back. He pivots and delivers a devastating kick to the back of its head. The kick sends the beast hurtling into a nearby cliff face with explosive force. The shadow wrestler stumbles to its feet, dazed but now thoroughly enraged. It shakes its head, letting out a furious snarl ready to charge again. Jade observes with a calm smile, noting that the beast is now angry. He knows its weakness is that its actions become predictable when enraged. He watches its simple, straightforward charge, awaiting the inevitable follow-up. He sees the slight preparatory motion for another open palm strike. He prepares for the attack, having timed it perfectly. He identifies a window of just half a second to end the fight. His focus is absolute as the monster's attack begins. He blocks the powerful blow, his arms crossed in a defensive posture. The force of the block sends a shockwave rippling through the landscape. Despite the power, his expression remains calm and analytical. The monster snarls in frustration, its attack successfully repelled. It recognizes his tactic and decides to switch to another special technique. The beast drops to all fours, coiling its muscles for its specialty move. It launches itself forward in a super-speed headbutt, a blur of fury. But Jade's eye gleams with anticipation. He was waiting for this exact moment. With a triumphant cry, Jade declares that this is the moment he was waiting for. Planting his hands firmly on the beast's back, he expertly secures his position. He rides the monster through the air, using its own unstoppable momentum against it. His grip remains firm and steady as he prepares for the next phase of his plan. Calmly, he identifies the creature's second weakness, its need to lift its head to stop flying. He understands that preventing the beast from raising its head will seal its fate completely. With a powerful push, he launches himself and the monster towards a towering cliff face. The impact is catastrophic, shattering the rock wall in a massive explosion of stone and debris. Jade lands gracefully, his expression placid as he observes the aftermath of his strategy. At the base of the shattered cliff, the ape-like monster lies defeated and unmoving. A system interface appears above the corpse, awarding him 150 skill points for the victory. Touching the screen, his total SP updates to 230 points. He walks over to the vanquished foe and activates his storage skill to retrieve the body. A proud smile crosses his face, pleased that he defeated a strong monster without his change ability. Throwing a fist in the air, he celebrates his growing strength with a triumphant, boyish shout. Feeling accomplished, he continues on his journey, whistling a cheerful tune as he walks. He scratches the back of his head, completely at ease as he travels along the path. Deep within a forest, a trio of menacing figures walks with grim purpose. The muscular leader is carrying an unconscious, blonde-haired girl over his shoulder. From behind a tree, Jade witnesses the scene and wonders if it's a kidnapping. The girl is slung carelessly over the man's shoulder like a sack of grain. He overhears the men noting that she is a high-quality item that will sell for a high price. Upon hearing their cruel intentions, Jade's expression hardens into one of cold fury. Crouching low behind the tree, he resolves that he cannot simply leave them be. He decides to use his anti-personnel skills, knowing he must acquire the necessary abilities first. A dangerous glint appears in his eye as he mentally acquires assassination arts. Like a phantom, he moves through the forest, a blur of motion darting between the trees. From the shadows, he observes the kidnappers, his face a mask of grim determination. His eyes lock onto the group as he thinks to himself that he has finally caught up. The hooded, masked figure suddenly senses his presence, alerted by an unseen disturbance. The assassin's senses are sharp, confirming a new presence in the woods. The forest floor is still, but the air is thick with unspoken tension. Whirling around, the assassin instantly hurls a sharp projectile at Jade's hiding spot. With fierce intensity, the hooded figure prepares for their next move. Using Shukuchi, the assassin closes the distance instantly and launches a vicious high kick. Jade is ready, blocking the powerful kick with a unique, chakram-like bladed ring. The impact sends a shockwave through the air, but Jade holds his ground firmly. The hooded assassin's eyes widen slightly in surprise at the unexpected defense. Staring back, Jade's gaze is intense and unwavering. He turns the tables, using Shukuchi himself to flip away, causing the surprised assassin to fall. The two other kidnappers turn around, shocked by the sudden commotion. Jade watches calmly as the men realize their hooded comrade is down. He mentally opens his status screen to check his current skill points. Seeing he has 90 SP, he confirms his suspicions about the situation. The eye patch-wearing man fumes, realizing some external force is interfering with their SP gain. He explains that using assassination arts on their victims is one of their methods. The technique involves using the art to render a target unconscious for capture. He realizes the common thread is that they received no SP, meaning their targets were already out. A successful knockout with assassination arts should have yielded 10 SP. Having confirmed his theory, Jade begins to walk away, his objective achieved. The eye patch wearer seethes, vowing that he will not forgive this interference. The muscular man bellows after him, and the eye patch wearer calls him a brat. The eye patch wearer speculates that Jade might be an adult, despite being a novice. His muscular companion scoffs at the idea of an adult novice, calling it a bluff. A shadow of doubt crosses the eye patch wearer's face as he considers the possibility. Enraged, he screams that he'll sell Jade for a high price and lunges forward. Jade calmly raises his forearm to block the incoming sword strike. The eye patch wearer shrieks in disbelief, thinking Jade is a fool for trying to block with his arm. A strange glowing card appears on Jade's arm, catching him by surprise. He unleashes a concussive blast of pure energy from his open palm. The eye patch wearer's eye widens in pure, unadulterated shock at the sudden counterattack. The blast misses him but slams directly into another subordinate, sending the man flying. The muscular leader stares in horror, shouting his fallen comrade's name in disbelief. Enraged by the loss, the leader charges forward, swinging a massive cleaver. Jade uses Shikuchi to vanish and reappear directly in front of the charging giant. His eyes narrow in focus as he prepares to strike at the opportune moment. He deftly ducks under the wild swing of the heavy cleaver. The blade smashes harmlessly into the forest floor behind him. In the same fluid motion, he strikes the leader's exposed side with his chakram. With a final, decisive blow, he drives his fist into the leader's face. The leader is sent crashing violently against a thick tree trunk, defeated. Alone, Jade clenches his fist, frustrated that the shadow wrestler was tougher than expected. His gaze then falls upon the unconscious young woman lying on the forest floor. He quickly uses his dagger to cut the ropes binding her ankles. With the ropes cut, the girl lies free but still unconscious among the leaves. Jade sits, realizing he needs the heal skill but lacks the SP to acquire it. He sighs in frustration, looking up as he wonders what his next move should be. A sound from above snaps him to attention, and he looks up at the sky. He instantly recognizes the magnificent birds as powerful power eagles. To his alarm, he sees they are descending directly towards him. He braces for an attack, his hand crackling with energy as he prepares for a fight. One of the eagles lets out a piercing cry, its sharp eyes fixed on him. The eagle's cry echoes through the quiet forest, full of intent. The eagles dive swiftly, but not to attack. They release several intricately carved items that flutter down through the air toward Jade. The items land perfectly in his outstretched palm, a gift at the perfect time. He turns to the girl, whispering his gratitude for the unexpected and timely aid. A system interface appears, and he confirms his acquisition of the heal skill. His hand glowing with gentle light, he hovers it over the girl and casts the spell. The healing magic takes effect, and the young woman, Gina, lets out a soft groan. She sits up dazed, asking where she is as Jade expresses his relief that she's awake. Seeing the unconscious kidnapper nearby, she shrieks and instinctively clutches Jade in fear. Still trembling, she clings to him, her face a mask of confusion and lingering fright. He reassures her that the man is just unconscious, and she apologizes profusely, saying her head is a mess. As the shock subsides, she looks at Jade and quietly asks if he was the one who saved her. He seems a bit taken aback, but confirms that he does recall helping her. Gina presses further, asking if he remembers everything up to the point of her capture. With a sad, self-deprecating smile, she wonders aloud if tricked is a more accurate word. She explains that she is an artist whose works failed to sell, leaving her destitute. A mysterious, hooded figure then approached her with what he called a lucrative but suspicious offer. A hooded figure with a bandaged face recounts being approached with a tempting, lucrative offer. The figure's memory goes blank after being told they were going to be sold. Back in the present, Jade expresses his surprise and admiration that the rescued girl is an artist. He asks what kind of art she creates, and she explains that she always carries her tools. Her face lights up as she proudly declares her craft is sculpture, showing off her hammer and chisel. Jade's eye widens in surprise as he had not expected her specialty to be sculpture. He makes a surprising offer, asking if she would consider working for him. Flustered and confused, the young woman stammers, asking what he means by his proposal. Jade sheepishly apologizes, admitting he jumped ahead in his explanation. He clarifies that as a new adventurer, he has a pressing need for many magic tools. She is astonished, never having known magic tools could be made through physical sculpture. Jade reassures her, promising to provide the designs for her to copy with her great memory. She admits that for someone with no money, his offer is incredibly welcome. Hesitantly, she asks if it's truly okay, admitting she can't use her main arm. Jade acknowledges her concern, understanding that it's a normal assumption to make. He explains that the tools he needs are better suited for hand carving than mass production. An illustration shows how powerful magic tools consume valuable materials, making hand carving more efficient. Realizing her skills can be useful after all, her expression becomes one of quiet resolve. Jade smiles warmly, confirming her realization and asking if she would like to try. She expresses her deep gratitude for him having saved her life, feeling indebted. With renewed determination, she enthusiastically accepts the job, pleading for him to let her do it. Overjoyed by her acceptance, Jade expresses his relief and happiness with a bright smile. He formally introduces himself as Jade, extending a hand to seal their new partnership. Smiling brightly, she introduces herself as Gina and accepts his offer with pleasure. They shake hands, solidifying their new working relationship as she says his name. Jade suddenly remembers something important that he had overlooked in the moment. He gestures to the unconscious thieves, remembering the practical matter of their salary. He suggests they cash in the spoils from the battle to determine her pay. Gina, impressed by his storage magic, agrees that any amount would be a great help. Jade's expression turns serious as he considers his next move. His thoughts turn to the remaining hooded figure, the mastermind behind Gina's abduction. A sudden, brilliant idea strikes him. Turning to Gina, he asks if she would carve a specific magic formation onto a stone for him. She readily agrees, and he begins to draw the intricate design on a scroll. He presents the complex runic design, asking her to carve it with perfect accuracy. Gina enthusiastically agrees, unfurling a massive roll of carving tools from her magic bag. She places a magic stone into a small, portable fixing stand on a table. Jade watches, surprised by her professional setup of a table and stand. Gina kneels and begins to work with incredible speed and precision. Jade sits down, preparing for what he assumes will be a long wait. In what feels like no time at all, Gina cheerfully announces that she has finished the carving. Jade leaps up in shock, exclaiming that it hasn't even been 3 minutes. He examines the flawless carving, marveling at her incredible skill and perfect execution. Jade thanks her and warns her to stand back, explaining the activation could be dangerous. Kneeling over a thief, he thinks to himself that he can't let Gina see this dark ritual. He steels himself, knowing he must perform this unpleasant act to secure their future. He prepares to press the cursed magic stone directly over the man's heart. With a pained grimace, he forces the stone into the man's body. As the wound magically seals over the stone, he knows his grim task was a success. An ornate interface reveals the nature of the curse of unchivalry he just implanted. He suspects the thieves are connected to a larger human trafficking organization. He knows he must create more magic tools to find their hideout. He reflects that thanks to Gina's speed, he was able to finish his task instantly. He congratulates Gina on her first job, and she expresses her happiness that it went well. Jade suggests they head to the guild, and Gina waves goodbye cheerfully. He asks if she'll help with some slime hunting first, and she readily agrees. Later, Jade stands at the guild reception desk filling out paperwork. The burly warrior Ramon calls out to him, surprised to see him there. Ramon asks how much he earned from selling his materials at the dismantling facility. A barrel drops to the floor in shock at Jade's stated earnings of $4 million. Ramon demands to know what he brought in to get that kind of money. Jade calmly explains that he sold 15 phantom cores for $3 million. The warrior shouts, "Phantom cores!" His face a mask of utter disbelief. His hand trembles as he questions if Jade was truly the one to defeat the phantoms. Jade dismisses it as luck, teasing that a dragon would be harder to encounter. Ramon, defeated, realizes it's pointless to question Jade's incredible stories. He walks away, muttering the staggering sum of $4 million to himself. Gina timidly asks Jade how many months of work the earnings represent. Jade calmly replies that it was just for one day's work. Gina is completely flabbergasted, exclaiming that $4 million in one day is impossible. She stammers that the sum is more than 10 times her entire monthly salary. A new guild attendant named Micah approaches them, apologizing for the wait. Micah introduces herself and announces that the appraisal of their items is complete. She leads them to a table of recovered items, telling Gina to take what's hers. Gina's eyes light up as she excitedly spots her stolen hat among the goods. She joyfully puts on the hat, beaming with happiness at its return. In a strategy room, Micah points out the location of the thieves on a map. Using her search skill, she confirms the thieves are still unconscious and haven't moved. Jade is surprised she knows him, but she assures him his reputation precedes him. Micah excitedly recounts the exaggerated rumor of him defeating an earthquake monster. Snapping back to business, she declares an adventurer will be sent to tail the thieves. She states the reward will be determined once their identities are confirmed. A single piece of paper flutters against a cloudy sky. At the inn, they have rented a second room to serve as a workshop. Jade asks Gina if she really plans to do all the work today. Gina confidently declares she can finish all 60 items in just 3 hours. She points to diagrams, assigning Jade the slime stones and herself the power eagle stones. Gina focuses intently on her work, carving a magic stone with precision. Jade watches her work with a gentle, appreciative smile. Later that evening, Gina calls out to Jade as he walks down the hall. He turns as she peeks out from her doorway, asking what she needs. With a soft, sincere expression, she thanks him again for all his help that day. Jade looks at her, a hint of surprise in his eye at her earnestness. He looks away, embarrassed, and dismisses her thanks as unnecessary. He closes his own door with a soft click, the day finally over. Through his window, he reflects that his long first day as an adventurer is over. A short while later, concern prompts him to knock gently on her door. Getting no answer, he cautiously pushes the door open to peek inside. His expression is one of quiet concern as he looks into the dimly lit room. He finds Gina fast asleep in her bed, completely exhausted from her hard work. A young woman, Xena, sleeps peacefully in her bed with a content smile. Jade peeks into the room, realizing with a wry smile that she fell asleep in the workshop. His gaze falls upon trays filled with dozens of perfectly crafted magical items. He picks one up, marveling that they are all of the exact same high quality. Beside the finished items, he finds a small pouch and a note written in intricate runes. Feeling a surge of gratitude, he vows to put her hard work to good use. The next morning, Jade stands in a wasteland, declaring his intent to gather SP using change. He takes a mental inventory of his 69 new change items and 1 Ariamis. He recalls that the Ariamis is a rare item that can cause trouble for novices. However, he knows that by combining it with change, he can efficiently summon phantoms for SP. His confidence suddenly shatters as he realizes he forgot to prepare the correct type of change. Dropping to his knees in despair, he groans that his first task is to find a specific magic stone. His plan ruined, Jade wanders through a nearby forest, his senses on high alert. He suddenly halts, sensing a powerful magical signature as he approaches a large lake. Standing at the water's edge, he confirms the presence of a rushbore-level magical reaction. He feels an even greater power lurking below the surface, his expression growing serious. He mutters in disbelief, wondering what this immense creature could possibly be. The lake erupts in a massive geyser of water as something launches itself from the depths. A large bird flying overhead looks down in shock at the object rocketing towards it. A colossal swordfish-like monster impales the bird, an attack Jade recognizes as Divine Arrow. The massive splash subsides, leaving Jade standing on the shore, a witness to the spectacle. A wide, opportunistic grin spreads across his face, thrilled to have encountered such a rare monster. He pulls out one of Xena's change items, activating it with a powerful yell. The item glows and transforms, ready to take control of the dead creature. The victorious monster's carcass floats to the surface as he declares his good luck. He drags the prize ashore and begins to process it on a ritual cloth. Gripping the creature's formidable, sword-like bill, he knows he must work quickly to preserve it. He sits contemplating how best to use the parts of this incredible creature. Suddenly, his expression changes as he senses another presence nearby. He stands up, confirming that a monster is close. Opening his status menu, he immediately confirms the acquisition of a new skill. A message confirms he has acquired Crescent Moon Blade, and he decides to test it. He peers from behind a rock and sees a large ape-like creature in the forest. Identifying it as a shadow wrestler, he notes that it hasn't spotted him yet. His eyes narrow with focus as he resolves to attack. He bursts from his cover, brandishing the serrated fishbill as a deadly blade. A powerful slash cuts through the air with incredible force. He shouts the name of his new attack, Crescent Moon Blade, as he leaps forward. The wave of energy slices through the forest, heading directly for the monster. The shadow wrestler is caught completely by surprise by the incoming attack. The energy wave bisects the creature cleanly before it can react. Its body dissolves into black particles as the attack continues its path. The aftermath is a scene of total devastation, with trees and boulders cleanly sliced in two. Jade looks at the weapon in his hand with utter shock, marveling at its incredible cutting edge. He reflects that the Crescent Moon Slash's power shouldn't be this high without enhancement. He realizes the Divine Arrow hilt itself has an innate ability to amplify shockwaves. He decides not to use the hilt as is, a new plan forming in his mind. With a confident grin, he resolves to have the material forged into a proper sword. He returns to the guild and has Sylvia introduce him to a skilled blacksmith. He must now carve an incorrect version of the change spell onto the Divine Arrow's magic stone. Deciding it's faster to do it himself, he kneels in the forest to begin carving. The scene transitions, showing the passage of time as he works. He holds up a finished lure, noting it's smaller than Gina's but should still work. With his preparations complete, he activates the Area Menace lure. He breaks into a sprint, leaping and bounding through the forest terrain with agile grace. His foot touches down lightly on a mossy rock as he continues his run. He crouches on a thick tree branch, preparing to unleash his plan. 10 minutes later, he sits calmly observing the chaos he has created below. The forest floor is now a writhing mass of lurid monsters of all kinds. The Area Menace zips through the horde, a blur of destructive energy. He identifies several boar-type monsters among the gathered creatures. He also spots a pack of snarling wolf-type monsters in the crowd. Estimating over 100 monsters, he prepares the second phase of his attack. He pulls out another carved item, a chenji, and prepares to throw it. He hurls the device into the center of the monster pack clearing. The chenji soars through the air and detonates in a blinding flash of light. The monsters below, including the horned ape, cry out in agony as the energy wave hits. The serpent and boar monsters are also caught in the transformative blast. The wave of strange power washes over the entire horde, engulfing them completely. As the energy ripples outwards, two more chenji items materialize in the air. A single glowing chenji pulses with ominous power before a final, massive blast. A second chenji also glows, heralding the coming destruction. A colossal beam of energy descends from the heavens, striking the monster gathering. In the aftermath, Jade crouches, observing the dissipating energy of the attack. Gina calls out, asking if they got them all and if it's enough. A magical grid display confirms that all 61 targets have been neutralized. A flash of light signals the arrival of a new threat. Jade, panting from exertion, replies that it was barely enough as he prepares for the next wave. Several dark, shadowy, wolf-like phantoms lunge toward him. His eyes obscured by a black bar, Jade calmly activates his storage skill. A shimmering card-like barrier of light and data materializes in front of him. The phantom wolves slam into the barrier, their assault completely nullified. One of the phantoms dissolves into particles of light and data. The rest of the pack meets the same fate, their attack failing. He stands up with a cheeky smile, thanking the phantoms for the meal. The last of the phantoms dissipates into nothingness, leaving him standing alone. He activates his storage, and an orb of energy appears in his hand. A system screen confirms he gained 18,300 SP from the 61 phantoms, bringing his total to 18,390. He immediately invests the points, enhancing his physical abilities in martial arts to level 17. He clenches his fist, feeling the new power coursing through him. He dashes forward, testing his upgraded body with blinding speed. The trees whip past him as he streaks through the forest like a blur. He hurls the energy orb at a new group of phantoms, obliterating them. He watches the result with a satisfied expression, the test a success. Feeling confident, he knows he can now defeat a rush boar on his own. He pulls up his own status. Jade, Novice, with 1,420 SP remaining. Seeing his martial arts skill is over +10, he decides to acquire a new ability. A confirmation message flashes. He has acquired the Eye of the Letter. A diagram explains the skill. It allows him to read an opponent's internal state to predict actions. It also synergizes with his search skill, a bonus for achieving +10 in martial arts. Standing in a forest, a young man decides to test his skills. His single visible eye narrows with intense analytical focus. A massive, ferocious rush boar charges directly at him. With a confident grin, he identifies the beast as a perfect opponent. The boar roars, its long tusks and sharp teeth bared. He activates a special ability, the powerful Eye of X. His vision transforms, showing him the boar's energy pathways. The unique cross-shaped pupil in his eye locks onto its target. He predicts the boar's charge and takes a single, perfect sidestep. Thrown off balance, the beast stumbles in confusion. His gaze remains fixed as he prepares to strike. The Eye of X highlights a glowing weak point on the boar's leg. He delivers a powerful, precise kick to the creature's joint. The beast, now an Everboar, turns to charge once more. His skill again identifies the critical weak spot on its other leg. He lands another crippling kick with perfect timing. Leaping away, he notes his calf kicks have immobilized the beast. His expression is one of grim, focused determination. The Eye of X confirms the Everboar is now helpless. He unleashes his crescent moon blade with a feral grin. The powerful attack slices cleanly through the boar's neck. He lands gracefully as the colossal beast collapses behind him. In the aftermath, his expression becomes calm and analytical. He reflects on the successful test of his new and enhanced skills. He remembers that he must collect the Beast Magic Stone. Using his spare points, he enhances his search skill by 5 levels. His journey concludes at a fortified town near a mountain. A woman with glasses examines the boar, impressed by the clean kill. He laughs modestly, crediting a skill that lets him see weak points. The woman teases him about his amazing and unbelievable statements. She then slyly asks if he happened to bring any phantom cores. He frantically denies it, insisting his previous find was just luck. A traumatic memory of a cataclysmic event flashes through his mind. Changing the subject, he proudly presents a phantom fish spine. The woman gasps in shock, recognizing the legendary divine arowana. He happily explains his plan to have a sword forged from it. He asks her if she knows any good blacksmiths in the area. Her eyes glint with a sly, knowing expression as she considers. She agrees to help, stating there is just one place to go. They arrive at the sturdy stone building of the Well-Grew workshop. He approaches the entrance with an air of firm resolve. The woman warns him that the smith has a difficult personality. He grits his teeth, undeterred by the cautionary words. Pushing open the heavy door, he politely announces his arrival. A hulking, bearded blacksmith with goggles looks up from his drink. The smith's intense, intimidating glare fixes on the young boy. Jade presents the material, requesting a custom-made sword. The smith recognizes the divine arowana, questioning how he got it. Jade just smiles and asks if the smith is able to do it. The smith agrees, boasting that he's the only one who could. He tells Jade to wait a moment, and Jade thanks him politely. Jade muses that the smith seems to be in a surprisingly good mood. The smith offers the sword immediately for double the market price. Jade is completely bewildered by the strange, unexpected offer. He protests, stating that he should be the one paying a fee. The smith listens to him, a thoughtful expression on his face. A light bulb seems to flash above his head as an idea strikes. He asks if Jade intends to buy back his own commissioned sword. The smith's eye glints. He cannot let a weakling wield his work. Jade is stunned speechless by the smith's bizarre logic. The smith declares a weapon of this caliber deserves a true warrior. He slams a pouch of coins on the counter to buy the material. A crude stone sword is presented as what a weakling deserves. The smith insists the divine arowana would weep in Jade's hands. He gives his ultimatum, pay double or be deemed unworthy. Jade's hand clenches into a determined fist at the challenge. He internally complains about the impossible price being demanded. He understands that this is a test of his character and worthiness. The smith is surprised by the boy's direct question. Jade asks for a chance to prove the smith's prediction wrong. The blacksmith is shocked, asking if he is truly serious. He warns Jade that he could be seriously injured in a mock battle. Jade calmly accepts the challenge, stating that he doesn't mind. The smith instructs him to return in 7 days for the duel. Jade vows to show how much a novice can grow in a week. His preparations begin inside a large city building. A massive collection of glittering magic stones is shown. He presents a mountain of materials to a young woman, Gina. He asks her to process them all into change items by tomorrow. Gina confidently declares she will have them all finished tonight. He thanks her but cautions her not to push herself too hard. The scene transitions to the beginning of his intense training. From the next day, he begins a grueling regimen in the wilderness. For 3 days, he hunts phantoms in the Elria wastelands. This difficult routine is repeated 3 times each day. The vast, desolate landscape provides a perfect training ground. With 4 days left, he prepares to test a new secret technique. First, he enhances his body reinforcement and martial arts to plus 47. He stands before a colossal, ancient tree, ready to test his power. He taps the tree with a finger, a small, dull sound echoing. He then draws back his fist, preparing for a real strike. A single, explosive punch shatters the massive tree trunk. He then effortlessly lifts a house-sized boulder with one hand. The boulder is held aloft as if it were completely weightless. With his foundational abilities perfected, he stands confidently. He feels certain he is now ready to face disaster-class monsters. Next, he acquires the barrier skill and enhances it to plus 15. A glowing, multi-layered barrier materializes before him. He muses that the defensive magic must have other, creative uses. He tests this theory by delivering a powerful kick to the construct. Gazing at a glowing barrier, the young man muses that a plus 15 enhancement seems sufficient. With his cape billowing, he takes a running leap from the edge of a cliff. An incredible force propels him high into the sky above the rugged landscape below. In midair, he summons a glowing rectangular barrier, creating a solid platform beneath him. Landing lightly on the magical construct, he prepares to launch himself upward once more. With a powerful kick, he shatters the platform, using the force to defy gravity. He soars over the landscape, explaining that he can use these as footholds. Marveling at his altitude, he realizes this technique will be advantageous in aerial combat. After a long flight, he lands gracefully on another self-made platform, crouching low. His expression is bright and focused as he looks up from his descent. A system screen confirms his next move, enhancing his X's eye to plus 10. He reflects that the skill is useless on its own, but its true potential is unlocked. His training is interrupted as he lands softly, sensing a new presence nearby. By strengthening his eye, he can now use the surrounding terrain to his advantage. A hulking, ape-like monster with pointed ears and sharp fangs lets out a roar. Emerging from an explosion of dust, the beast charges across the barren wasteland. The monster closes the distance with terrifying speed, forcing the young man to flee. Its long, whip-like tail lashes out, wrapping tightly around the boy's arm. With his X's eye active, he remains focused despite being captured by the tail. His vision transforms into a wireframe grid, highlighting a distant, precarious rock formation. Using the monster's momentum, he swings himself toward the weak point he identified. The ape-like creature watches in confusion as its prey flies towards the cliff face. High above, the rock slide he triggered comes crashing down upon the unsuspecting beast. He lands safely at a distance, orchestrating the environmental attack with outstretched arms. He understands he can use the terrain's weak points to inflict massive indirect damage. He briefly wonders if that attack was enough to finish the beast off. A new prompt appears before him, and he decisively presses the yes option. With a confident smile, he confirms his acquisition of the ultimate skill, Peerless State. A diagram explains the skill. Taking hits fills a gauge to activate an invincible state. In this state, he imagines himself unharmed by a dragon's breath, smirking triumphantly. The skill also allows him to unleash a crescent moon attack with 50 times power. He knows the skill costs 1,000 points and decides to test it immediately. A massive, ferocious rush boar appears, presenting him with a perfect test subject. Activating his X's eye, he prepares to face the beast's charge head-on. He stands his ground, resolving to take the boar's signature charge without guarding. He braces himself for the impact, his cloak whipping in the wind. He calmly decides to take the full force of the attack, a necessary step. The impact is immense, sending him flying backward with the force of a battering ram. He is sent tumbling end over end through the air from the powerful collision. Even while flying, his X's eye remains active, tracking his trajectory. In midair, he plants a small, disc-like marker on the ground below. He lands gracefully, twisting his body to absorb the impact of his fall. He quickly skids to a stop, creating distance and controlling the flow of battle. His wireframe vision calculates the distance to the boar as roughly 7 meters. He checks his special, Peerless gauge, expecting it to be significantly filled. To his dismay, he sees the gauge is only filled by about 10%. He realizes the gauge fills based on distance flown, not damage taken. With a sigh of frustration, he understands he must repeat this 9 more times. The process repeats, with the boar charging and sending him flying again and again. He checks the gauge as the boar snorts beside him, noting its slow progress. After enduring numerous hits, he feels the gauge finally fill to its maximum. A dark, crackling aura erupts around him as he activates Peerless State. The cross-shaped pupil of his X's eye glares with a terrifying new power. The rush boar freezes, sensing the overwhelming change, and asks him to wait. Before he can attack, the terrified boar turns and flees with all its might. He watches in disappointment as the creature kicks up dust and vanishes. He whispers an apology to the empty air, realizing his power is useless if foes flee. He walks away, a solitary figure in the vast, unforgiving wilderness. In the distance, the colossal, petrified skeleton of a leviathan looms over the canyons. A close-up reveals the massive, blocky teeth of a hidden, monstrous creature. A grotesque, malformed dragon of flesh and bone emerges from the canyon walls. Jade stares in disbelief, recognizing the creature he never expected to meet here. He recalls it's an artificial being, created from the cells of an ancient dragon. A mutation during its creation damaged its genetics, branding it a failure. Despite being artificial, it is an intelligent demon crafted through dark experiments. The beast possesses a divine aura that makes its true magical power impossible to measure. Because of this, it appears as a magicless creature on any magical search. He knows its power can range from a major threat to a world-ending disaster. Activating his Peerless Horse state, he resolves to fight to discover its true strength. As a golden aura erupts, he declares that this is his opponent's time. The golden light of his Peerless estate signifies his window of invincibility. He launches himself forward like a missile, crashing directly into the beast's chest. The impact is immense, a shockwave shattering the air and the ground around them. The dragon's single eye widens in surprise or pain from the powerful blow. Wounded but not defeated, the monster staggers back from the devastating attack. The ground erupts as the force of his punch tears the very landscape apart. He lands hard, skidding across the broken ground, his expression intensely focused. He is thrown back by the force of his own attack, stabilizing his landing. His X's eye remains active, his focus unbroken as he prepares his next move. He unleashes a barrage of strikes, overwhelming the beast with a rapid-fire assault. He stands over the defeated monster, realizing its true strength was formidable. The dragon's eye narrows with malevolent intelligence, preparing to counterattack. The beast stumbles, but its immense power is far from extinguished. Jade knows he must use his trump card and push through to victory now. The creature's body crackles with energy, a swirling vortex forming in its maw. He recognizes the signs of a deformed breath attack, a devastating energy blast. Knowing the shockwave would waste precious time, he prepares to defend himself. He raises a hand, conjuring a translucent, glowing barrier just in time. A blinding flash of light erupts as the dark energy gathers for the blast. The failed dragon unleashes a massive, concentrated beam of black annihilation energy. He grits his teeth against the pressure, yelling for 2 more barriers to hold. He manifests a second, more complex crystalline barrier in front of the first. The devastating beam smashes into his new defense, exploding with blinding light. The world is momentarily consumed by the deafening roar of the cataclysmic blast. The energy of the explosion continues to radiate outwards with incredible force. The battlefield is shrouded in a thick cloud of smoke and dust. His hand holds the sign for his barrier technique, having weathered the storm. Emerging from the smoke, his expression is calm and focused, ready to counter. The dragon's eye widens in shock as Jade appears directly before its face. He thrusts his hand forward, preparing to smash an offensive barrier into the beast. A malformed dragon-like creature recoils, its fanged maw open in a silent cry of shock from an unseen attack. The source of the attack is revealed. A young man with white hair, his body crackling with a powerful golden aura. With a devastating punch, he slams his fist into the monster's chest, the impact shattering the air around them. Using the monster's head as a springboard, he kicks off it to launch himself high into the air. Soaring backward, he watches as the beast is sent flying from the force of his maneuver. He lands gracefully, thinking to himself that in this powered-up state, his hand-to-hand combat is formidable. His expression hardens as he calls out the name of his next attack, Crescent Moonblade. From a conjured barrier platform, he unleashes a rapid-fire barrage of strikes upon the creature below. The failed dragon roars in agony, unable to defend against the relentless, high-speed assault of energy blades. Jade becomes a blur of motion, his attacks tearing chunks from the monster's unnatural flesh. He lands gracefully as the beast tumbles upside down, defeated by the flurry of blows. The monster's single eye widens in shock as Jade brings the entire barrier platform down upon it. The platform slams into the dragon, crushing it against the ground with incredible force. The ground shatters completely, sending a massive plume of rock and debris high into the sky. A wide shot shows the massive explosion, with the young man landing safely on a distant rock outcropping. Kneeling on the rock, his golden aura fades as he catches his breath, the battle finally over. He approaches the mangled, lifeless corpse of the failed divine dragon, lying broken in the crater. His powered-up form is shown in contrast to his current state as he thinks that his time limit was running out. He reflects that his trump card, Chain, would have been useless anyway against this particular foe. A close-up shows the intricate design of the Chain ability, which is only effective on true dragonkin. He concludes that while the SP gain is low, the real prize is in the valuable materials from the corpse. He prepares to use his storage skill to collect the massive carcass. A system message informs him that the corpse is too large, and he resigns himself to upgrading his storage. With a great swoosh, the entire corpse is absorbed into his enhanced inventory. He scratches his head, dreading the explanation he'll have to give Sylvia, and resolves to collect the rush boar. 3 days later, the scene shifts to a quiet town. Jade sits on his bed, sighing in relief as he checks his status on a holographic screen. The screen confirms his HP and MP are restored, and his skill points now stand at a healthy 142,900. Deciding to invest his points, he acquires and enhances the Spell Collapses skill to +10. The skill's function is explained. It is a defensive spell used to nullify an opponent's magic. He considers that his opponent might want a Divine Arrow Sword, but he has countermeasures like his Crescent Moonblade. He resolves that if a new skill is needed mid-battle, he can simply use a skill code to acquire it. With his Musu gauge full and ready, he feels confident that he cannot lose. A determined smile spreads across his face as he decides it's time to go. A dragon-like creature soars through the clouds over a rugged, mountainous landscape. His journey takes him to a rustic smithy nestled at the foot of the mountains. The heavy wooden door of the smithy creaks open, announcing his arrival. Inside, a blonde-armored adventurer named Vake stands before a burly, mustached smith named Welg. Welg expresses his surprise that the boy actually came and offers him a final chance to back down. Jade ignores the offer, calmly asking where the mock battle will take place. Vake's eye widens slightly in surprise at the boy's unwavering confidence. Welg, accepting the boy's resolve, gestures dismissively and tells him to follow to the training ground behind the shop. With a bright smile, Jade agrees, understanding the terms of the challenge. The trio exits the smithy, its tall smokestack standing against the mountain backdrop. They walk in silence through a sparse, quiet forest, the atmosphere thick with tension. The group continues their trek through the woods, their destination just ahead. Vake turns to Welg, skeptically asking if this kid is truly the opponent he is supposed to fight. Jade overhears, sensing this is a continuation of a test that began with the divine arrow attack. Welg confirms this, telling Vike he can't afford an easy win, as this is a test of his B-rank capabilities. Jade flusters slightly at being called Kikuin-san, suspecting it's a deliberate taunt. He reflects that his novice class keeps his appearance unchanged, making his power difficult for others to gauge. He knows that his true strength cannot be easily discerned by his appearance alone. Vike recalls that the guild ranked this boy, Voig, as a B-rank adventurer, on par with the E-rank dragon slayers. He visualizes the vast power gap between a new B-rank and a seasoned A-rank adventurer. Jade thinks about his own B-rank equivalent evaluation, represented by his 3-star E-rank plate. He knows he has grown considerably stronger since receiving that evaluation from the guild. He confidently remembers that he has his Musu skill as a trump card. With this ace up his sleeve, he believes that, at the very least, he shouldn't lose. The trio arrives at a large circular stone arena, its walls weathered by time. Well boasts about the magnificent arena, shielding his eyes to get a better look. He explains that the arena is an ancestral heirloom, occasionally lent to knights for their own mock battles. He produces a thick, sturdy wooden sword wrapped in cloth. He instructs them that they will use these wooden swords for the mock battle. Jade accepts the sword, his eyes widening slightly at its surprising length. Vike addresses Jade, telling the boy to watch him closely. His face becomes a mask of intense concentration as he prepares to show off his power. He leaps high into the air, unleashing a powerful crescent moon blade with the wooden sword. Welg watches the display, a sound of pure admiration escaping his lips. Vike lands gracefully, his cape billowing, confident that his demonstration is clear. He smirks, believing Jade now understands the power gap between them. He smugly reminds Jade that he is a B-rank adventurer. He patronizingly offers Jade a final chance to surrender to avoid embarrassment. Jade is stunned, but not by Vike's power. He's shocked by how much weaker his opponent is than expected. Vike misinterprets his silence as fear, thinking he's a freeloader who lucked into his rank. Jade's mind analyzes Vike's power, knowing he can estimate his stats by observing his skill. He recalls that his own body enhancement is at plus 47, an impossibly high number for a normal job class. He calculates that Vike's Crescent Moonblade is only equivalent to a plus 5 or plus 6 enhancement. He concludes that Vike's total power multiplier is a mere 25 to 30. Jade calmly announces that he will, of course, fight, leaving Vike completely flabbergasted. Vike clenches his jaw in frustration, angered that the boy isn't listening to him. His expression hardens as he states that he has given his fair warning. Wells steps between them, announcing that they should both get ready for the duel. Vike's gaze is sharp and determined as the battle is about to begin. Jade meets his opponent's stare with a calm, focused expression. Welg roars, signaling the start of the mock battle. Vake lunges forward, declaring that this is the end. He unleashes a powerful crescent moonblade with his wooden sword, sending a wave of force at Jade. Jade stands his ground, thinking that while dodging would be easy, he has a better plan. He raises a single hand, preparing to cast his own spell. With his eyes flaring with power, he unleashes his spell collapse technique. A swirling vortex of dark energy shoots from his hand, warping the air as it moves to intercept the attack. The two opposing forces meet and dissipate into nothingness. Jade stands with his hand outstretched, his counterspell a complete success. Vake stares in utter disbelief, demanding to know what just happened. Welg is equally stunned, wondering aloud if the boy's spell was a misfire. Vike is completely bewildered, calling out to his opponent in confusion. Jade's leg becomes a blur of motion as he prepares his next move. He activates Shukuchi, an instantaneous movement technique, vanishing in a puff of dust. In an instant, he reappears directly behind Vike, their positions completely reversed. He brings his wooden sword down in a silent, lethal arc, stopping just short of Vike's shoulder. A blonde warrior named Vake stares in shock, a bead of sweat on his temple as a wooden sword stops just short of his face. The white-haired youth Jade stands behind him, sword at his shoulder, calmly declaring his victory in the duel. A burly, goggle-wearing observer, Welg, is stunned into silence by the sudden and unexpected outcome. Paralyzed by disbelief, Vake whispers for his opponent to wait, unable to process his swift defeat. Furious and humiliated, Vake whirls around, demanding to know what just happened and insisting on a rematch. Jade's mind races, analyzing the fight and concluding there is no element that would allow Vake to win. He coolly tells the enraged Vake that no matter how many times they fight, the result will be the same. Vake accuses Jade of winning by a fluke, questioning the basis for such absolute confidence. With a confident smirk, Vake proposes a wager. If Jade wins again, Vake will pay for the sword. Jade's eyes sparkle with comical intensity, a light bulb flashing as he realizes the potential of this offer. Feigning reluctance, Jade agrees to the terms of the rematch, much to Vake's triumphant satisfaction. Welg encourages Vake, telling him that losing to someone who uses dirty tricks would bring shame to his name. A close-up on Vake's eye reveals a burning resolve, his fighting spirit ignited for the coming battle. Jade scoffs at the naive idea of dirty tricks as Vake declares he will go all out from the start. Walking away, Jade decides he will need to win this next match in a more spectacular, undeniable fashion. A look of quiet determination crosses his face as he muses that there is indeed a way to achieve this. Jade approaches Well, asking for a promise not to be charged for any damage done to the arena. Well dismisses the absurd request with a hearty laugh, stating there would be no repair fees. With a fierce grin, Well gives Jade his full permission to fight without holding anything back. Jade smiles serenely, pleased that he has received the exact confirmation he was seeking. An unseen announcer declares the start of the rematch under a vast, cloudy sky. Vake analyzes the situation, realizing Jade's peerless skill was the key and resolves to close the distance. Jade stands calmly as a powerful golden aura from his Kokushi Musu skill erupts around him. Well and Vake stare in absolute shock, demanding to know the source of the incredible golden light. With a decisive motion, Jade releases his grip on the wooden sword he holds. The practiced weapon clatters loudly onto the stone floor of the arena. Vake watches, utterly baffled, as Jade stands unarmed, questioning what his opponent could possibly be planning. Jade crouches down, pressing both palms firmly against the arena floor and channeling his immense power. The ground begins to crack and heave violently beneath Jade's hands, the stone groaning under the strain. The entire stone arena shatters, splitting into a jagged chasm and throwing Vake completely off balance. A deep fissure rips through the arena floor with a deafening groan, the structure beginning to fail. Vake's eye reflects the sheer chaos and destruction unfolding before him, his face a mask of terror. The arena's outer gate and walls explode outwards in a spectacular shower of stone and debris. In the aftermath, Jade stands calmly on one side of the chasm, his golden aura still faintly glowing. He looks over the devastation he has wrought, his expression unreadable amidst the settling dust. From the rubble below, a single dirt-caked hand reaches up, a faint plea for help audible. Faint cries for help emerge from the wreckage where Welg and another man are trapped. Jade leaps down into the chasm, his aura illuminating the ruined landscape as he moves to help. He extends a hand to the trapped Welg, grasping his gloved hand firmly. Jade effortlessly pulls the burly man free from the crushing weight of the debris. Wells stares at his rescuer in terror and disbelief, while Vake looks on from his precarious perch. Jade offers a hand to Vake, who flinches back in shock from the gesture. Welg points at Jade, his voice trembling as he stammers that the boy is a monster. Jade vanishes in a flash of movement, his hand reaching out toward Vake. Vake flinches again, realizing with a jolt of panic that his own sword is now gone. He looks around in confusion, wondering where his weapon has suddenly disappeared to. Vake sits dejectedly amidst the ruins, the picture of utter defeat, as Jade observes from a distance. Jade looks at the pathetic sight of Vake, wondering what he should do with him now. Deciding it's pitiful to just leave him, Jade resolves to return to the shop for the time being. Jade's eye shows a hint of calculation as he formulates the next phase of his plan. Later, Welg kneels amidst the ruins, panting heavily from exhaustion and shock. He holds out a new ornate sword to Jade, asking if this will suffice as payment for the duel. Jade takes the weapon, confirming that Welg didn't simply run away after the display of power. He examines the intricate hilt and blade of the new sword, admiring its craftsmanship. Jade notes the weapon's surprising lightness, realizing it's a testament to Welg's smithing skill. The tip of the sword gleams with a faint, magical light hinting at its hidden power. Jade recognizes the weapon, a thought bubble showing his surprise at what he's been given. He identifies the glowing gems embedded in the hilt as powerful enhancement crystals. A diagram explains that these crystals are meant to enhance a weapon's inherent properties. An hourglass illustrates the sword's true power, It slows the depletion of his Musu gauge, tripling its duration. Jade realizes Welg had this custom made, anticipating he would sell it to Vake as part of a scam. Holding the powerful artifact, Jade muses on how he's acquired a priceless S-rank item for free. Well wails in despair, lamenting the loss of the 6.7 million verse worth of crystals in the sword. Well confesses he was just trying to add some flair to Vake's promotion, not give away a fortune. Jade coolly declares that since he won the duel, he won't ask for the cost of the weapon itself. He smiles, saying it's their own fault and that the two of them can work it out. The scene transitions to a view of the fortress town, nestled in the mountains. The next day dawns, the sunlight illuminating the window of a simple room. A hand opens the wooden door, the latch clicking softly. Inside, a young woman with short, light-colored hair, Gina, looks up from her book. Jade apologizes for waking her, but she smiles and says it's no problem at all. Full of energy, Gina asks Jade what exciting plans they have for the day. Jade replies that he has no work scheduled, much to Gina's slight comical disappointment. He holds out a heavy pouch, explaining that he came to give it to her. He tells her it's her salary, though she protests that she has only worked for about a week. He insists, untying the strings of the pouch to reveal its contents. He explains it's 200,000 verse for 1 week's work, a sum that leaves her utterly shocked. Gina holds up a single, shining gold coin, her eyes wide with disbelief at the incredible amount. Jade adds that next month's pay will be 4 times that, causing Gina to comically explode in a puff of smoke. Jade frets that he could have paid more if he'd sold his phantom cores, as a dazed Gina looks on. A metaphorical light bulb goes off in Gina's head as she gets a brilliant idea. Her hand reaches toward a swirling vortex, as if pulling something from another dimension. She frantically offers 3 glowing orbs as a bonus, shouting in excitement about the fringe benefit. Gina points at Jade, demanding to know why he's so calm when the guild has declared a cataclysm. She places the orbs on the counter, explaining that they are just phantom magic stones. She waves her hands dismissively, saying it's not like he can acquire them so easily. Jade calmly explains they're unsellable due to the cataclysm and are just taking up space in storage. He adds that he would much rather she use them than let them go to waste. Gina turns away, pouting and muttering that it's not like he actually needs them. She clutches a mug, letting out a small, frustrated sound of irritation. Suddenly, she leans over the counter, eagerly offering to teach him how to make his own magic tools. Her eyes sparkle with excitement as she suggests making a sharpener and a particle accelerator. Jade is bewildered by these anachronistic concepts, visualizing a knife in a strange black device. He then imagines a modern induction heater, a memory from a past life he can't explain. He sweat drops, wondering if she dislikes the inn's food, which she quickly denies. Gina shyly explains that she just wants to make delicious food for herself sometimes. Jade understands and quickly sits down at his desk to draw the schematics for her. He is surprised but intrigued by her particular interest in cooking. He presents 2 flawless magical diagrams for the sharpener and particle accelerator, which she accepts gratefully. Later, Gina asks if he is sure he doesn't need any magic tools made today. With a calm smile, the white-haired adventurer, Jade, explains that he won't be phantom hunting today. Instead, he plans to try a different method, foreseeing he'll need new magic tools soon. His companion, a young woman, cheerfully encourages him to relax and spread his wings once in a while. She calls out his name, getting his attention as he is about to leave. He turns to look at her, his expression curious. With a warm, genuine smile, she wishes him well and tells him to take care. Caught off guard by her sincere kindness, Jade quietly agrees. He announces his departure, stepping out into a vast, rocky landscape. His solitary journey begins, his lone figure walking through a barren canyon. For a time, he sits in the deep shade of a gnarled tree, gazing out at the empty horizon. His path leads him across an ancient stone bridge spanning a deep chasm. He arrives at the base of a massive mountain, its slopes starkly divided between light and shadow. Knowing his target is atop the mountain, he decides to make preparations first. Confident that his foundational skills are solid, he resolves to focus on developing his obstruction abilities. Using his interface, he confirms the acquisition of a new skill, force reduction. An ornate winged crest appears, representing the skill that lowers an enemy's attack power. For a novice like him, however, this skill serves a far more important purpose. A mental diagram explains that his peerless gauge fills based on pre-debuff attack power. He realizes this will allow him to rapidly charge his ultimate ability while taking minimal damage. Knowing the skill is weak initially, he pours a massive amount of SP into it, enhancing it to plus 30. A comparison shows the skill's power, range, and duration have increased dramatically. He uses his remaining SP to bolster his base MP, acquiring a plus 25 enhancement. He recalls that his powerful skills like the Crescent Moonblade and Barriers consume a lot of MP. Seeing his new stats, HP 52,664 and MP 4,086, he feels the upgrade was a necessary precaution. Stretching his arms, he decides to save his remaining SP for later and prepares to set off. He launches himself down a steep slope, beginning his trek up the mountain. With impossible speed, he slides down the treacherous mountainside, his cape whipping behind him. He summons ethereal platforms, using them to bound across the rugged terrain with ease. Leaping gracefully through the air, his cape spreads wide like wings. Landing softly, he breaks into a determined run, continuing his journey upward. He finally slows, noting the change in scenery and feeling he should encounter his target soon. Closing his eyes, he focuses his energy and activates his search skill. A wave of energy expands from him as he scans the area for his quarry. His eyes snap open, a sharp glint of success within them as he confirms he's found it. With a sharp sound, he draws his sleek, curved sword from its scabbard. He confronts his target, a massive metal rhino, a beast covered entirely in metal. The rhino lets out a startled grunt, suddenly aware of his presence. A confident smirk appears as Jade prepares for battle, activating his Eye of X. The metal rhino lets out a powerful, challenging roar. With a fierce grin, Jade declares he's ready to see what the beast has got. Elsewhere, the witch Belladonna stares in disbelief, wondering how this boy is here. Her eyes are wide with terror as she realizes he has appeared right in front of her. Her party's tank demands to know what's going on, asking what happened to her search skill. The tank's face is grim as he realizes what Jade's unexpected presence must mean. He concludes that this must be the very hunter they were warned about. Overcome with guilt, Belladonna whispers an apology, blaming herself for their dire situation. A dark vision fills her mind, foreseeing her party's complete annihilation by the beast. Leaping into action, Jade soars through the air, preparing to unleash his sword art. He shouts the name of his attack, Crescent Moonblade. A flurry of crescent-shaped energy waves slices through the air toward the rhino. The attacks slam into the metal rhino's armored legs, marking its joints with the symbol of his Eye of X. Jade lands gracefully, the ground smoking around him as the impacts echo. The metal rhino stands for a moment, confused by the strange targeted assault. The glowing joints on its armored legs begin to crack and shatter. He watches with satisfaction, knowing he has destroyed all its leg joints and reduced its attack power. The crippled beast charges forward, its power diminished but still a formidable threat. Jade thrusts his hand out, shouting the name of his debuff, Force Reduction! The intricate crest of the spell materializes, ready to weaken the beast even further. A swirling aura envelops the charging rhino as he declares the completion of his maximum debuff. He crosses his arms, bracing himself for the inevitable impact. The rhino slams into him, the force of the charge still immense. He grits his teeth against the searing pain, a necessary cost for his plan. He is sent flying backward across the rocky terrain by the powerful blow. Landing hard, he acknowledges the pain, but knows his strategy is working perfectly. He quickly casts a heal spell on his arm, mitigating the damage. He notes that this creature is immune to his change skill, making this gambit necessary. Thanks to the damage he took, his peerless gauge has filled instantly. The rhino snorts, preparing for another assault, unaware of the power it just granted him. Jade calculates he only needs to endure 2 or 3 more hits to complete his preparation. He braces himself again, taking another powerful blow from the monster. He casts heal a second time, converting the pain into power. He takes a third hit, enduring the recoil of his own abilities. His gaze is sharp and focused as he confirms his gauge is now full. Casting heal one last time, he prepares to unleash his ultimate state. The vertical bar representing his peerless gauge is shown completely filled. He has achieved the state of peerless under heaven. A powerful aura erupts around him, his expression one of supreme confidence. With a single word, Shukuchi, he vanishes from sight. The rhino is left staring at the empty space where he once stood. He reappears instantly, his fist pulled back, right in front of the beast's face. His punch connects with the rhino's armored head with explosive force. The impact is immense, sending visible shockwaves through the air. The colossal beast is thrown back, crashing to the ground. He calls upon his barrier skill to contain the destructive force. Leaping high into the air, he delivers a flawless, vertical axe kick. His eyes are wide with focus as he brings his heel down for the finishing blow. The kick smashes the rhino against the ground, shattering the earth beneath it. Standing amidst the devastation, he watches as the monster's body begins to dissolve. The last remnants of the metal rhino melt into a black, viscous substance. Jade looks at his status screen with a hint of surprise. His points are shown at 1510 before the kill. After the kill, his points jump to a staggering 6,510. He confirms that the subjugation is complete, satisfied with the result. He recalls a failed enhancement attempt, but is glad he saved the power-up for his storage skill. With a wave of his hand, he absorbs the last of the creature's remains. He lets out a small sigh, his immediate task finished. Looking to the sky, he resolves to move on to his next target. 1 hour later, his skill points have reached a total of 20,110. Standing over his 5th kill, he notes the 20-minute respawn timer, finding the encounter rate quite high. He wonders if the monster density is simply higher here than he remembers from the NSO. A slender hand gestures, indicating that something will be a great help. The young man reflects on his growing skill points and his desire to find his true target. An interface asks if he wishes to spend 1,000 SP to upgrade his force reduction skill. A text explains that this upgrade is a special enhancement that changes a skill's nature. This enhancement will allow his force reduction to affect even monsters with debuff immunity. He then considers another upgrade, Stealth Search, which has a cost of 2,000 SP. His finger presses yes, confirming the acquisition and enhancement of Stealth Search to +2. With a confident smile, he declares that all the necessary conditions have finally been met. His ultimate target is revealed, the legendary golden metal rhino, the area's most valuable monster. This elusive beast is known to be undetectable by any normal search ability. His newly acquired Stealth Search, however, is capable of perceiving such hidden creatures. He calculates that the 3,000 SP investment will be quickly recouped by hunting this monster. Activating his search, he sends out a wide-ranging pulse of energy across the barren landscape. He realizes his target is not in the immediate vicinity as the search finds nothing. Resigned, he decides he must continue searching while on the move. Elsewhere, another party of adventurers confronts the colossal, armored, golden metal rhino. Their leader realizes with dread that this phantom-like beast is undetectable by their search skills. He turns to Belladonna, asking if fighting or fleeing offers a better chance of survival. Belladonna grimly confirms that running is undoubtedly their only real option. She adds that even then, they would need a miracle to escape with their lives. The spiky-haired warrior grimly accepts that this is how it must be. The party's tank bravely offers to act as the decoy to buy them some time. Belladonna sharply cuts him off, insisting that she will be the one to act as bait. She reasons that her obstruction magic, if it works, will buy them the most time. Her face shadowed, she accepts that their dire situation is entirely her responsibility. Raising her staff, she turns to face the beast, pleading with her comrades to escape. Her companions look on, their faces a mixture of pained resignation and terror. The tank can only mutter her name and an apology, his expression agonized. The golden metal rhino's eye flashes as it prepares its deadly attack. A swordsman in the party lets out a final, terrified scream as he runs for his life. Belladonna's staff glows as she unleashes her magic in a desperate last stand. She watches in horror as her spell is effortlessly scattered by the monster's overwhelming power. The beast's massive horn, now stained with blood, slices through the air. Her companion is brutally impaled, his body thrown lifelessly into the air. The monster's glowing eyes, promising certain death, now fixate on Belladonna. A hand reaches out in a final, futile gesture of self-preservation. With a jolt of terror, Belladonna realizes the monster's gaze is looking past her. A lone boy with white hair has appeared, standing between her and the beast. An invisible barrier he erected shatters, absorbing the force of the monster's charge. A single tear of overwhelming relief and shock traces a path down Belladonna's cheek. The boy turns to her, calmly remarking that he made it just in time. He cryptically adds that even a novice like him is unable to resurrect the dead. Belladonna is completely baffled, wondering what this boy is possibly talking about. He defines a novice as a weakling who has yet to receive a divine blessing. Yet he claims a barrier user who can defeat this beast is also considered a novice. He raises a hand, conjuring a crystalline barrier and announcing his force reduction spell. Belladonna cries out for him to stop, certain that such rudimentary magic is useless. The beast charges again, its power immense, but the barrier holds firm against the assault. Stunned, Belladonna realizes his spell is somehow working against all odds. She calculates that the damage reduction rate must be an astonishing 90%. The boy stands calmly, his cape billowing, leaving her to wonder who he truly is. The rhino paws the ground, gathering even more power into its legs for a stronger assault. The boy's eye narrows as he senses the beast is preparing a full-power charge. He knows that this time, his current barrier will not be enough to hold. The monster looms, ready to unleash an attack that his barrier cannot defend against. He crosses his arms, a new plan forming as he accepts the need for a different tactic. Activating his X's eye, he prepares to sidestep the charge, his strategy unchanged from before. He becomes a blur of motion, dodging the attack at the very last possible second. A bead of sweat forms on his face as he narrowly evades the devastating blow. The shockwave sends him flying backward through the air, tumbling end over end. He grits his teeth in pain, absorbing the damage as part of his larger plan. The impact leaves trails of force in the air, but his intense focus is unbroken. His X's eye flashes, the cross-shaped pupil glowing with precognitive power. He twists in midair, planting a hand on the ground to control his descent. His body contorts with incredible agility as he absorbs the momentum of the landing. He lands gracefully, his cape whipping around him as he prepares his next move. He kicks off the monster's flank, using its own charge to reposition himself. A confident smirk appears as he acknowledges that the plan is working perfectly. A grid-like overlay appears in his vision, showing the beast's position as he analyzes the battlefield. Belladonna watches, certain his evasive tactics are unsustainable against such a powerful foe. Her face is etched with worry, fearing it's only a matter of time before he fails. Suddenly, a powerful aura erupts around the boy, catching her completely by surprise. He stands tall, bathed in a brilliant golden light, his power now fully unleashed. Belladonna's eyes widen as she recognizes the legendary golden light of a special power. A wave of understanding washes over her as all the pieces click into place. She whispers that she finally understands the true nature of his incredible power. The boy faces the rhino, declaring that he has been hunting for this very miracle. He grins, a predator who has found his ultimate prey, exclaiming his good luck. The beast charges forward, its feet tearing up the ground in a furious assault. The rhino's eye reflects its own declaration of good fortune, a worthy opponent finally found. He leaps high onto the beast's back, using its body as a launching platform. He lands perfectly, planting his feet firmly on the ground for his final attack. His sword stabs into the earth, anchoring him as he gathers his immense power. He grips the hilt with both hands, channeling his entire golden aura into the blade. He unleashes his crescent moon blade, amplified to an astonishing 550 times its normal power. The golden metal rhino's eye widens in shock at the incredible surge of energy. The golden arc of power slams into the beast, throwing its colossal body backward. His X's eye glows as he watches his ultimate attack find its mark with precision. A massive chunk of the rhino's horn is sliced clean off and sent flying. The boy lands gracefully as the defeated beast crashes to the ground behind him. Belladonna stares, her mind struggling to process what she has just witnessed. A small, amazed laugh escapes her as she accepts he truly defeated the monster. He walks calmly towards the massive, lifeless body of the beast, which now lies still. He places a hand on its flank, identifying its hide as the legendary metal orichalcum. He knew his blade couldn't cut through the nigh-invulnerable armor with a direct hit. So instead, he used a special martial arts technique called permeating vibration. His attack sent destructive vibrations directly into the creature's body. The armor trapped the energy, causing it to reverberate internally and destroy the beast. He notes that this was the same tactic used when the skill was first implemented. He cheerfully calls out to Belladonna, offering her a piece of the precious orichalcum. A hand gestures with hesitation, an uncertain sound accompanying the movement. A red-haired woman, Belladonna, thanks her savior, Jade, who is glad she's unhurt. She faces him, acknowledging the audacity of making a request after he just saved her. With a serious expression, she explains that she has an injured companion nearby. Her voice fills with desperate hope as she asks if he could possibly help her friend. Jade listens to her plea with a calm, understanding gaze. He smiles, clarifying he was already worried and had healed her first, which shocks her. The burly warrior Gazer calls out Belladonna's name, his face etched with worry. Now human again, Gazer asks if she's all right. She retorts he's the one to worry about. Overwhelmed with emotion, Belladonna whispers how truly glad she is, tears in her eyes. Geyser and Belladonna kneel, thanking Jade, who tells them the materials are enough reward. He sheepishly explains his presence was a coincidence, as he was hunting a golden metal rhino. The two adventurers are stunned, shouting in disbelief that he was actively searching for it. Realizing his blunder, Jade awkwardly tries to wave off their shock. A flashback shows Jade 30 minutes prior, standing on a cliff after spotting his target. He looks down to see the beast but notes with disappointment that another party is already there. His expression is one of mild curiosity as he observes the battle unfolding from afar. He watches the adventurers being systematically defeated, leaving only one survivor. His gaze sharpens as he analyzes the situation, noticing the last man is cursed. He sees the tank-like warrior, Gazer, finally fall, defeated by the monster's power. Realizing this is no mere monster hunt, he resolves to intervene and leaps from the cliff. Back in the present, Jade explains with a bright smile that his arrival was pure luck. Gazer and Belladonna exchange a look of disbelief at the miraculous timing. Kneeling, Gazer reflects that encountering such a powerful adventurer was incredible fortune for them. He proudly introduces his A-rank party, specialists in metal monsters, implying a great reward. Gazer insists Jade is owed a reward from the guild and offers to escort him. Jade agrees with a friendly smile, though he admits he had planned to hunt more. With the decision made, he suggests they begin their journey down the mountain. The trio walks through a rocky canyon towards a distant town with a windmill. As they travel, Belladonna walks beside Jade, a question clearly on her mind. She hesitantly asks if she can ask him something, and he readily agrees. Her expression is serious as she begins to ask about the battle they just fought. Belladonna explains the rumor that golden metal rhinos are immune to all obstructive magic. She recounts desperately using her forced retaliation, hoping the rumors were false. A black emphasizes her conclusion. As expected, all of her spells were repelled. She points out with confusion that Jade's forced retaliation spell, however, had worked. A static field conveys her bewildered question, how was that possible? Jade explains that it was due to a certain skill he used that negated the immunity. Belladonna is flabbergasted, exclaiming that such a skill shouldn't exist. Jade reflects on the world's changing rules, recalling the monster's former immunity. He realizes the creature's total curse immunity, once absolute, has now become breakable. Pondering this, he wonders what version of the game NSO this world now operates on. He visualizes version 1.0 when the golden metal Rhino was first implemented. Then he thinks of Ver 2.0, a world that was never updated. He considers version 3.0, where it wouldn't be strange for such immunities to change. Deciding to investigate, he pulls up his holographic skill menu to check for new abilities. He scrolls past familiar skills like Chronog, Curse of Undone, and Confusion. He finds it, an unacquired skill named Parallel Jail, costing 140 points. He realizes that since the world has been updated, new skills must have been added. His finger hovers over the confirmation button, ready to acquire the new skill. Belladonna's urgent voice cuts through his thoughts, warning him of approaching monsters. Gazer grumbles about their bad timing as they lack range and Belladonna is out of MP. Jade sees the ape-like shadow wrestlers and decides to test his new skill on them. Holding up an ornate mirror-like object, he invokes the name Parallel Jail. A swirling black and white vortex opens on the ground beneath a charging monster. The beast looks up in confusion at an identical vortex that has opened in the sky. It is violently sucked off its feet and pulled helplessly into the celestial portal. Gazer and Belladonna can only stare in shock, exclaiming that the monster vanished. Jade becomes a blur of motion, unleashing a powerful crescent moon slash. The blade of energy streaks through the air, aimed directly at the trapped monster. The disoriented monster is a perfect target for the devastating incoming attack. From their vantage point, the others watch the impossible scene unfold on the slope below. The monster's eyes are wide with shock as the attack is about to connect. The blade slices cleanly through its neck, decapitating it in a spray of dark blood. Gazer and Belladonna are left speechless, while Jade looks on with a cool expression. They demand to know what that ridiculously powerful technique was, calling it unheard of. Jade calmly explains it's a rare skill called Parallel Jail that should also work on the metal Rhino. Belladonna realizes his forced retaliation must have been a special variant as well. Gazer, still trying to process everything, asks what Jade's job class is. Jade cheerfully replies that he is a novice, much to his companion's exasperated disbelief. The scene shifts to the exterior of a guild hall nestled against a mountain range. Inside, a bespectacled woman named Zabiris rests her chin on her hands, looking bored. She looks up as the trio enters, asking what kind of combination this is. Gazer steps forward, his expression serious, and declares that he will explain the situation. A shot of the guild hall at night shows lights glowing in the windows. Zabiris listens to the story, her eyes narrowed in thought, a silent escaping her. With a sigh, she summarizes his recent unbelievable exploits, from phantoms to the golden metal Rhino. She notes that considering Jade's past achievements, their story is likely true, but guild regulations. require proof, which she asks him to provide. Jade cheerfully agrees, but his companions frantically urge him to show the proof outside. Outside the guild, the massive metallic carcasses of the slain beasts are laid out. Zabaris kneels beside them, admitting she has questions, starting with why one is undamaged. Jade nervously tries to deflect, but Zabaris says she doesn't need an explanation. He points to an arm, explaining it's orichalcum and too valuable to sell for scrap. Back at the counter, Zabaris agrees to buy everything except the golden metal Reno materials. She leans in, intensely instructing him to come to her for any high-value appraisals. A transition shows a sky and clouds passing by. On a cliff overlooking the town, Belladonna confirms their report is submitted and they'll get their reward. She turns to Jade, sincerely thanking him again for saving their lives. Jade smiles brightly, saying the reward they'll receive is more than enough thanks. Inspired, Gazer and Belladonna vow to strive to become stronger, like Jade. The three adventurers wave goodbye to the town below, their spirits renewed. Inside the guild, Zabaris appears with a lantern, playfully asking Jade if he's finished. She cheekily says she's just returning the favor for his earlier meddling. She leads him into a small, sparsely furnished back room. Jade follows her, his expression a mixture of curiosity and caution. Zabaris places her hand on a plain wooden wall and speaks a command word. With a mechanical whirring, a section of the floor begins to slide away. A hidden staircase is revealed, leading into darkness. Zabaris remarks it's been a while. As they descend, she explains the guild always rewards those who rescue an A-rank party. A guild official explains to Jade that he will receive a special reward for his recent heroics. She clarifies that because his A-rank comrades were so outmatched, no fraud investigation is needed. To thank him for saving a valuable guild asset, she uses a command to open a secret passage. Revealing a hidden treasury, she invites him to select any single item as his reward. Jade looks on in utter astonishment at the vast collection of powerful weapons and armor. He begins to walk through the impressive armory, surveying the countless items on display. A large ornate shield briefly catches his eye, and he expresses a flicker of interest. His gaze then falls upon a pair of sturdy, well-crafted gauntlets resting on a shelf. He recognizes these items from NSO, thinking them all familiar but ultimately uninspired. Continuing his search, he examines a small book and other trinkets with a discerning eye. Suddenly, his expression shifts as he spots an intricately carved wooden box among the relics. Inside the box rests a unique pendant, nestled on a soft cushion, pulsing with hidden potential. He declares his choice, but the official is shocked, insisting it's just a useless piece of junk. As they leave, she questions his decision, but he confidently states the item is perfect for him. The pendant, cash back 50, is revealed to refund half the SP spent on acquiring skills. The official concedes she can't comprehend its value, finding his choice a regrettable waste. With a relieved smile, Jade thinks to himself how much this powerful new item will help him. Changing the subject, the official cheerfully announces that his adventurer rank is being promoted. Holding his E-rank card, he assumes a minor promotion, but she energetically disagrees. With a flourish, she reveals his new C-rank card, explaining its 2 stars are significant. She presents him with the paperwork, explaining she's handled the details and needs his signature. Leaning on the counter, she laments that strict guild rules prevent an immediate A-rank promotion. She eagerly urges him to reach A-rank quickly, leaving him looking completely exhausted. Just then, another guild employee named Mika approaches, asking for a moment of his time. He agrees to speak with her, a hint of curiosity in his expression as he turns to face her. In a private room, Mika formally reports that the identity of the thieves has finally been confirmed. He expresses his relief, noting the information came much faster than he had anticipated. She gestures for him to follow, explaining she has prepared a full investigation report for him. As they walk, she notes the reward will change depending on the culprit's true identities. He takes his seat, his hand resting on the back of the chair in quiet anticipation. Seated across from each other, Mika begins to detail the results of her investigation. She reveals the thieves were high-ranking members of the notorious Eternal Extortionists. The name hits Jade with the force of a physical blow, leaving him utterly speechless. He slams the table, demanding to know if there is any mistake in the investigation. Mika, though startled, calmly assures him the information from their specialists is accurate. Defeated, Jade slumps back into his chair, trying to process the terrible, unexpected news. She looks at him quizzically, confused by the intensity of his uncharacteristic reaction. Mika begins to explain the known activities of the shadowy criminal organization. She details their method of extorting the indebted and selling them into illegal trafficking. He recognizes the pattern from Zena's case but knows something is terribly wrong with the report. His expression darkens as he realizes Meika's information is only half of the horrifying truth. He envisions their true form, a malevolent cult aiming for the complete destruction of the world. He recalls how they operate, luring their victims into darkness just as they did with Sina. Their targets are not just anyone, but often young women with specific exploitable potential. Those with low value are used as sacrifices in forbidden rituals and horrific human experiments. The money they earn from their crimes funds the mass production of monstrous, modified humans. Their ultimate goal is to unleash these abominations upon the world in a twisted, apocalyptic game. With a cold sweat, he clenches his fist, burdened by this terrible hidden knowledge. He recalls his last fight, knowing he only won because his foe was a mere, undisciplined grunt. The thought of facing a true official member of the powerful cult fills him with dread. Micah's voice pulls him from his dark thoughts, bringing him back to the present moment. She presents the reward of 750,000, which he calmly accepts despite his inner turmoil. With a bright smile, she announces that she has one more important proposal for him. She asks if he will join the subjugation force, an offer that shocks him to his core. Turning to others, she announces she's trying to recruit him, putting him on the spot. She sweetens the deal, offering to add his current reward to the mission's total payout. With sparkling eyes, she clasps her hands together, pleading for him to accept her offer. He hesitates, knowing the plan is deeply flawed and based on dangerously incomplete intelligence. His logical mind tells him this entire operation should be canceled for their own safety. He feels the immense weight of his knowledge. Frustrated, he can't explain the true danger. After a long, tense silence, he forces a reassuring smile and agrees to join the subjugation force. Micah is overjoyed, exclaiming that his presence will surely boost everyone's confidence. His expression is calm, but his inner thoughts are grim, cold, and calculating. He grimly calculates his current strength gives him only a 20% chance of victory. His mind races to a map, recalling the enemy's forces are dispersed across many hidden bases. Their target is just one of these strongholds, a desolate fortress in the barren wasteland. He gambles that if only 80% of the enemy is present, he might just succeed. His gaze hardens with resolve, believing he can find a way to win even now. He knows the risks are high, but his unique skills offer a path to survival. He considers a dark possibility, using the other adventurers as bait to create an opening. If his presence increases their survival rate, he resolves, it is a risk worth taking. With his decision made, he asks her when the operation is scheduled to begin. Beaming, she informs him that the assault is scheduled to take place in 3 days. He feels a sense of relief, knowing 3 days is just enough time to gather SP. She hands him a sealed scroll containing the mission's time and meeting place. As his fingers make contact with the ornate casing, a strange energy is suddenly released. A violent jolt of power courses through him, his eyes flying open in shock and pain. His consciousness is ripped into a void, surrounded by countless monstrous, staring eyes. He stumbles back and collapses, and a worried Micah rushes to his side to help him. He forces a weak smile, insisting he is fine and was just a little dizzy. She urges him to rest, but he waves off her concern, insisting he's truly all right. His expression turns serious as he announces that an urgent errand has come up. He bolts from the guild, running with desperate speed across the desolate landscape. He realizes the vision was a signal that a curse he placed has been triggered. This means the curse has either been altered or completely broken by someone. Either way, he knows he must get to the source of the disturbance immediately. His strategy is ruined, and he knows the enemy is heading directly for the town. As he runs through the night, a terrible premonition fills him with a sense of dread. Meanwhile, 2 young women walk through the town at night after a shopping trip. Gina clutches her bag, thinking about the food she plans to make for Jade. A faint blush crosses her cheeks as she hopes he will enjoy the meal she prepares. Her friend skips ahead, humming a cheerful tune, enjoying the peaceful evening atmosphere. Gina smiles at her friend's carefree attitude, gently chiding her for being conspicuous. Suddenly, her happy expression vanishes, replaced by one of pure, utter shock. From a dark alley, a menacing figure emerges, crackling with a strange, dark energy. The figure's bandaged face splits into a horrifying grin as he whispers, "Found you." Her groceries spill from her grasp, scattering across the cobblestone street. The contents of her bag lie forgotten on the ground as terror takes complete hold. She recognizes him instantly as the man Jade fought, her face a mask of fear. He stands before her, a dark, menacing aura surrounding his cloaked form. His face twists into a psychotic grin as he vows to kill his target. A young woman in a cap hears his threat, wondering if he means to kill her. She worries about him starting a fight in the middle of the crowded street. She recalls a magic tool Jade gave her, remembering his warning about its curse. Closing her eyes, she clutches her hands, resolving to place her trust in Jade. The bandaged man taunts her for not attempting to flee from him. His grin widens into a maniacal leer as he prepares his magical assault. He unleashes a sphere of dark energy, declaring it's too late for her. The young woman can only stare in terror, her eyes wide with shock. A close-up shows the crackling dark energy pulsing in his hand. Suddenly, the spell implodes, engulfing his arm in a violent backlash. The dark energy dissipates harmlessly before it can reach its target. A massive explosion erupts behind her as the man is thrown backward. He clutches his arm, cursing and wondering why she is still standing. He gathers another, more powerful sphere of dark energy in his palm. The young woman stumbles backward, collapsing to the stone floor in fear. The man looms over her, declaring that at this range she cannot escape. His spell collapses again, a technique called Jutsu Collapse neutralizing it. The woman looks on, her face streaked with tears of stunned disbelief. A figure steps between them, his back to the woman, ready for battle. She cries out in relief, recognizing her savior, Jade, who stands protectively. The bandaged man, Stren, sits up, shocked to see his old adversary. Jade exhales, relieved that he arrived just in time to intervene. He turns to Gina, assuring her that she has not been injured. Overcome with emotion, Gina throws her arms around him in a tight embrace. Her hand clenches his cloak as she clings to him, seeking safety. Her eyes are wide with a mixture of fear and profound gratitude. She closes her eyes, finding comfort in his presence after the terrifying ordeal. Jade explains that the curse on her has been altered, causing it to malfunction. He places his hands on her shoulders, vowing to nullify it and protect her. Gina looks up at him, her gaze filled with a fragile, questioning hope. Her voice trembling, she asks him if he is certain that he won't lose. Jade pauses, his expression momentarily distant as a memory surfaces. He recalls the berries on the ground, triggering a flashback to a shared meal. The memory of her serving him food and his promise comes to mind. He had told her that everything would be all right, a promise he now must keep. His own bold words echo, vowing not to die before tasting her cooking again. He remembers her flustered, blushing reaction to his heartfelt promise. She had agreed, her face alight with happiness, sealing their pact. Fueled by this memory, Jade declares yes and draws his sword with resolve. His unique X's Eye ability activates, its cross-shaped pupil flaring to life. He instructs Gina to get as far away from the battle as she can. Stren taunts them, questioning if she thinks she can escape him now. Jade calmly invokes Jutsu Collapse, preparing to neutralize the incoming spell. The dark energy in Stren's hand once again implodes violently. Stren roars in disbelief, furious that his magic has been foiled again. His face twists into a mask of pure rage as he unleashes his full power. Steam erupts from his body as his eyes glow with a terrifying white light. An intense current of black lightning crackles and flows around his entire body. Jade grimly identifies the forbidden technique, Penalty Sin, a form of body modification. A diagram explains the curse, showing how it hijacks the user's muscles. Stren endures the hellish agony of this reckless, self-destructive transformation. The terrible risk is revealed, a 99% chance of death by shock. Even if he survives the initial ordeal, the consequences are dire. Once the effect wears off, the user is left a crippled invalid. His transformation complete, Stren stands as a hulking, monstrous brute. He looms over Jade, his face a horrifying mask of pure, manic power. Jade's X's Eye calculates the monster's incredibly fast incoming attack. The transformed Stren lunges with blinding speed, aiming a devastating punch. Jade is shocked by the sheer velocity of the monstrous assault. He dodges just in time, the punch shattering the ground where he stood. Hiding his arm, Jade marvels at the incredible destructive force of the blow. Stren spins with impossible agility, his eyes locking onto his target. He moves in a blur, preparing to strike again with overwhelming speed. Caught off guard, Jade realizes he's too late to raise a proper barrier. A powerful punch connects, sending Jade flying backward through the air. He crashes hard into a pile of rubble, the impact echoing loudly. Kneeling, Jade assesses the situation, realizing he can't fight in the city. His eyes narrow, knowing he must find a way to deal with this beast. He pulls out a paper talisman, preparing to use a different strategy. The talisman, a change card, glows faintly in his hand. Stren scoffs, mocking the idea that a mere piece of paper can kill him. Jade charges forward, declaring that Stren will die as he wished. He shouts the command word, "Change," as he closes the distance. He thrusts the glowing card towards the curses brand on Stren's chest. The curse of unguilty is revealed, a flame-like mark on his body. Jade recalls that only the user can dispel the curse via change. A barrier erupts, repelling Stren's attack as the card makes contact. Stren screams in rage, his willpower fighting against the dispelling magic. The curse brand cracks and flickers, weakened but not fully broken. The change was incomplete, and the curse could not be undone. Knowing his opponent's movements are now dulled, Jade presses his advantage. He lunges forward, unleashing his signature Crescent Moon Slash. The blade arcs through the air, a blur of silver light and power. The attack connects, striking the weakened beast with immense force. Jade looks on as a cloud of dust and smoke obscures his opponent. His expression is calm and focused, awaiting the outcome of his strike. Stren emerges from the smoke, charging with renewed fury and power. His face is a mask of taunting superiority as he closes the distance. Jade is forced to block, gritting his teeth as the powerful blow connects. The impact sends a shockwave through the air, dust exploding outwards. Stren questions if that was Jade's trump card, vowing not to let him win. Jade calmly tells him to rest assured, his demeanor shifting. He breathes the name of his ultimate ability, Peerless Under Heaven. A confident smirk appears on his face, blood trickling from his cheek. His body now glowing with power, he declares that the real show starts now. He rests his ornate sword on his shoulder, ready for the true battle. They face off on a rooftop, and Stren taunts him about the distance. Stren's face twists into a sneer, questioning Jade's confident grin. The transformed Stren's face is a mask of pure madness, taunting his opponent's power. With a thunderous crack, a powerful kick connects, sending wisps of energy from the impact. The bandaged brawler charges with blinding speed toward the waiting white-haired swordsman. A massive punch shatters the rooftop tiles in a violent burst of raw power. Jade calmly observes his opponent, unimpressed by the ferocious display of force. With breathtaking agility, the swordsman flips backward through the air, evading the devastating attack. He lands gracefully on his feet a short distance away, his dark cape billowing around him. His feet touch down lightly on the edge of the rooftop, poised for the next move. Under a crescent moon, the two combatants face off again across the city rooftops. They meet in a furious mid-air clash, their faces locked in a grimace of exertion. Jade's expression is one of calm, intense focus amidst the chaotic, high-speed battle. The exchange is a whirlwind of motion, a chaotic storm of strikes and parries. The bandaged brawler snarls, growing frustrated by his opponent's relentless persistence. Blood trickles from a fresh cut on Jade's cheek, but his resolve remains unshaken. The brawler leaps back, gathering a sphere of crackling, dark energy in his hands. The volatile energy pulses with destructive power as he prepares his next assault. Jade counters, his body beginning to glow with a powerful, victory-assuring aura. He holds a small, rectangular paper talisman, preparing to use the strange artifact. With a powerful shout, Jade commands the talisman to change, unleashing its power. The brawler screams in agony as the spell implodes, turning on its master. His face contorts into a mask of pure pain as his own power tears through him. He struggles desperately to contain the volatile sphere of energy in his hands. Jade calmly announces his next move, a technique known as spell collapse. He closes in, his sword arcing through the air for the final, decisive blow. The blade connects with the brawler's shoulder, pinning him to the ground. The victorious swordsman stands over his defeated foe on the shattered rooftop. He tells his opponent to give up, stating that there is no chance of winning. The brawler sneers, dismissing the notion of surrender and calling Jade a fool. Dark blood drips from the brawler's mouth onto the broken tiles below. His look of defeat is replaced by a terrifying, wide and maniacal grin. A low, menacing chuckle escapes his lips, hinting at a new, desperate plan. He asks if Jade has truly given up, mocking him for his foolishness. With a terrifying roar, he declares that if he can't win, he'll erase the star itself. Jade stares in shock, asking what his opponent is even talking about. The brawler's fist clenches, gathering an immense and terrifying amount of power. A suffocating pressure erupts from his body, cracking the rooftop beneath his feet. Jade realizes with dread that this is an immense concentration of high-density magic. He asks if the brawler intends to self-destruct with this incredible power. The brawler concedes defeat but declares this is how he will settle their fight. Jade grits his teeth, knowing the blast could destroy half the city. His special ability, the X's Eye, flares to life, its cross-shaped pupil glowing. A tactical display analyzes the brawler, showing 8.26 seconds until detonation. His own power gauge shows he only has 2 seconds of enhanced time left. Realizing he has no other choice, he lunges forward, determined to stop the blast. He abandons his sword, slamming his fist directly into the brawler's chest. The punch connects with bone-jarring force, stunning his surprised opponent. The brawler's face contorts in a mask of pure shock and agony. The unexpected blow lands with a sickening, heavy thud. Jade follows with a powerful kick to the side of the brawler's head. The force of the blow sends the brawler's head snapping back violently. The brawler is sent hurtling backward through the air, his body limp. The chase resumes, Jade leaping through the air toward his fleeing opponent. Their fists meet in a thunderous clash of raw, destructive power. Shattered magical barriers dissipate into nothingness from the violent impact. Both combatants are sent reeling backward across the rooftop from the force. Jade hovers in the air, demanding to know what his opponent's imitation is. The bandaged man looks back, asking why Jade is still pursuing him so relentlessly. With a sorrowful smile, Jade confirms that he will follow him to hell itself. He looks up at the sky, his expression calm as he makes his solemn vow. The brawler grits his teeth in pure, unadulterated rage at this declaration. High above the city, a colossal sphere of dark energy detonates with a roar. A young woman with short blonde hair looks up in shock and absolute terror. Jade is a tiny speck, flying desperately away from the massive explosion. He is thrown from the sky, his body hurtling uncontrollably toward the rooftops. He desperately throws up a protective barrier to shield himself from the blast. The shockwave slams into him, sending him crashing down toward the city. He lands hard on the rooftop, his momentum finally and brutally spent. He struggles to remain upright, his body trembling with sheer exhaustion. His face is etched with the strain of pushing himself far beyond his limits. A fresh cut bleeds on his forehead as he fights to stay conscious. The blonde woman, Gina, cries out his name in a panic-stricken voice. Her hand reaches out towards him as if to catch him as he falls. His strength gives out, and he collapses face first onto the hard stone. He lies still on the ground, his eyes closed, utterly and completely spent. Kneeling beside him, Gina cries with overwhelming relief that he is safe. He apologizes for making her worry, but she insists it was all she could do. They lie on the cobblestones, sharing a moment of quiet, exhausted relief. The next morning, a peaceful and hearty breakfast is laid out on the table. Jade's eyes are wide with delight as a steaming bowl is placed before him. Gina explains that it's just leftovers from the day before, hoping he doesn't mind. After the meal, Jade thanks her, his plate wiped completely clean. He compliments her cooking, saying that this morning's meal was as delicious as ever. She beams with pure, unadulterated happiness, humming a cheerful tune to herself. Jade asks why she's smiling so much, and she becomes adorably flustered. Jade prepares to leave for the day, grabbing his dark, familiar cloak. He fastens the clasp at his neck, his expression turning serious once more. He explains that he must make preparations before meeting the subjugation force. Gina stops him, offering him a neatly wrapped package to take with him. She tells him that it's lunch, which he gratefully accepts as a great help. She wishes him well, her voice full of warmth as she tells him to be safe. He smiles back, touched by her caring and thoughtful gesture. His expression is full of renewed energy as he turns to leave. He calls out that he is off, ready to face the challenges of the day. His journey takes him out into a vast and desolate, rocky landscape. He travels alone under a vast, cloudy sky, a solitary figure on a mission. He eats his lunch near a sleeping rhino beast, remarking on how delicious it is. His simple, cloth-wrapped lunchbox rests on the rock beside him. He thinks of the person waiting for him, resolving not to be lazy. He knows he must diligently earn SP for the difficult challenges ahead. A colossal, three-eyed skeletal figure materializes behind him without warning. Jade's face lights up with surprised excitement, recognizing a rare and powerful metal lich. A young, white-haired adventurer dodges an attack, his cape billowing around him. With incredible force, a massive scythe blade smashes into the ground. The attacker is a colossal, skeletal reaper with menacing, glowing eyes. On the reaper's chest, a swirling, eye-like vortex appears, neutralizing it. From the dissolving monster, a sharp, crystalline magic stone materializes in the air. He holds the stone, musing that composite attribute monsters yield high-quality items. This particular stone, he notes, is perfect for crafting an areanizer tool. The young man checks his status on a glowing, translucent tablet. His skill points have reached a staggering 112,560, a profitable day's work. Back in town, he presents a complex metal component for his next project. He explains to a young artisan that it's for a new magic formation. Her eyes light up with passion for her craft, eagerly asking if he needs 100. He also commissions 5 area menace tools using long, crystalline magic stones. Seated at her workbench, she promises with a determined smile to do her best. 2 days later, the adventurer wakes early, rubbing the sleep from his eyes. While eating, he checks his status, seeing he has earned 260,000 SP. He calculates that with his cashback ability, he effectively has over 600,000 points. Taking a final sip from his mug, he finishes his preparations for the day. Now dressed for battle, he clenches his fist, ready for the worst-case scenario. He explains to the artisan that his ultimate skill may be unusable at the start. Waving goodbye to his cheering friend, he feels he has prepared everything he could. His expression becomes serious as he considers the enemy's unknown strength. The outcome now depends entirely on the power of the forces they will face. At a fortified camp, a diverse group of adventurers has gathered for the mission. A friendly man introduces himself as Zane, a former S-rank adventurer. A small girl with a ribbon is excited for a fight, much to the adventurer's annoyance. Zine formally thanks him on behalf of the guild for agreeing to participate. The young adventurer is humbled by the praise from such a renowned figure. Zine suggests that everyone in the newly formed group should introduce themselves. A spiky-haired man presents his A-rank party, Betelgeuse Kai, and its newest member. The new member is an assassin pharmacist named Sargus, his gaze sharp and intense. The adventurer is stunned, having only known of such a character from his past life. A woman named Alice introduces her B-rank party, Spitfire. Raina of the B-rank party, Dreadnought, offers a confident salute. Finally, it is the young adventurer's turn to introduce himself to the group. He gives a strange and bold introduction, claiming to be a C-rank adventurer. The other adventurers are taken aback by his bizarre and arrogant claims. He immediately regrets his unnecessary choice of words, sweating nervously. Zine smoothly takes control, calling for a final equipment check before they depart. A moment of quiet anticipation hangs in the air before the march begins. The small party treks across a vast, desolate, and rocky landscape. As the fog begins to thicken, the group proceeds with caution. The leader, Zine, warns the vanguard to remain alert for any monsters. Raina shields her eyes, spotting their destination on the horizon. The white-haired adventurer stares intently at the distant, imposing fortress. Raina points out the fortress, identifying it as the enemy's stronghold. She warns that they will be seen if they advance, urging them to prepare for battle. The adventurer notes a discrepancy in the enemy deployment from his memories. Raina grits her teeth, certain they have already been detected even at this range. A rabbit-eared girl warns Sargus of an enemy 100 meters ahead. A shimmering energy field dissipates around a large, muscular warrior. The warrior cries out in pain and confusion, staggering from an invisible attack. Sargus reveals his technique, Dimensional Throw, used to inject a deadly chemical. The muscular warrior's eyes roll back as his body is racked with agony. He collapses to the ground, defeated by the insidious, fast-acting poison. The white-haired adventurer recognizes the technique as a lethal assassination spell. The poison, hydrofluoric acid, is administered directly into the bloodstream. Sargus explains it causes instant death by leaching the body's calcium. The adventurer's eye narrows. He knows this is only a minor threat. Inside the fortress, star-shaped cracks suddenly appear on the inner wall. He retrieves an ornate device from his storage, a gadget Gina had made for him. He holds up the Area Menace and Areanizer, explaining their combined function. He plans to use the device to bypass the enemy's initial line of sight. He asks Zine to wait a moment before breaching the fortress gate. Zen looks slightly confused but agrees to the unusual request. With incredible speed, the adventurer vanishes in a cloud of dust. Sargus turns to Zine, questioning if this strange boy can truly be trusted. Zine admits he hasn't seen his power, but everyone who has recommends an A-rank promotion. The adventurer looks up, invoking a barrier skill to ascend the tower. He continues his thoughts on the matter as he climbs. He leaps effortlessly up the fortress wall, using his barriers as footholds. With a soft thud, he lands on the fortress ramparts. He drops the Area Menace device into the courtyard below. Zine smiles, admitting he's simply curious to see the boy's true power. He playfully pats Sargus' shoulder, who seems annoyed by his casual attitude. Sargus sternly reminds Zane that his curiosity is irrelevant when lives are at risk. Zane's expression turns serious, promising to subdue the boy if he endangers the party. His eye narrows, his resolve firm and unwavering. The adventurer reappears before the group, confirming it's now safe to proceed. Zine unleashes a powerful kick, shattering the massive fortress gate. The party charges through the breach into the fortress courtyard. They find the courtyard eerily empty, with no lookouts in sight. A monstrous, fanged maw appears, its presence terrifying. A three-headed Cerberus materializes, its dark flames crackling with power. Zine turns to the adventurer, asking if he knew the beast was here. Sargus watches the adventurer, his expression a mixture of suspicion and intrigue. The adventurer confirms he knew, explaining his detection skills are highly trained. He casually reveals the fortress requires a plus 100 stealth search, stunning his allies. The Cerberus is a first kill type, designed to attack specific targets. It targets any human not wearing a special, modified holy water. The adventurer's companions remark on his strange use of magic tools. The party stands just outside the range of a magic interference field. The adventurer places the Areanizer on the ground to begin his counter. He activates Spell Collapse, sending a wide area magic nullification wave. He closes his eyes, satisfied that his countermeasure has made contact. Zian asks if this is his countermeasure for the Cerberus, and he confirms it is. He knows that new modified humans are constantly being created inside. He confirms to Zian that the minimum countermeasures are now complete. All that remains is the final confrontation. The party stands ready to face the official members of the Eternal High Revenue. A powerful, hooded high priest with distinct facial markings commands the adventurers to halt. In response, an assassin's hand unleashes a technique known as Dimensional Drug. The sudden, unseen attack catches the high priest completely by surprise. The assassin, Sargus, reveals the nature of his attack, hydrofluoric acid. A confident, almost mocking smirk spreads across the high priest's face. He casually deflects the assault, boasting that poison has no effect on him. The white-haired youth, Jade, calmly tells Sargus that the boast is merely a bluff. Sargus recalls how opponents in the NSO game would use silent incantations to agitate their foes. Jade confirms that he only pretended to chant while using his Spell Collapse skill. Sargus realizes that despite the deception, he can still accurately perceive his opponent's power. Jade explains that his Spell Collapse skill requires direct contact with an enemy's spell formula. In contrast, the Dimensional Drug manifests directly inside the target's body before they can react. Before it activates, the spell is just an invisible, formless lump of magical energy. With magic vision, however, one could perceive this energy before it takes effect. Jade deduces that the man before them possesses rare skills and immense combat power. Knowing his enemy's potential capabilities, he decides to set a psychological trap. The high priest taunts them, revealing his Cerberus is stalling for time to provoke a rash move. Enraged by their calm, he demands to know what they are plotting. Jade coolly asks if the high priest's empty threats are all he has to offer. The high priest internally confirms that his own search magic shows the Cerberus is still alive. A warrior and a swordswoman in Jade's party note the significance of them bypassing the beast. The high priest begins to sweat, starting to suspect that the boy has tamed his beast. Jade knows that only the most powerful members can gauge the Cerberus's true loyalty. From the high priest's agitated reaction, Jade confirms his opponent lacks this level of power. Comparing the situation to his past experiences, he concludes an overwhelmingly powerful foe is not needed. He instructs Sargus to prepare another dimensional drug and tells the party to coordinate an attack. The high priest curses, frustrated that the uncertainty surrounding his Cerberus is distracting him. Jade's female companion relays his orders for everyone except him and Sargus to join the attack. With a unified war cry, the party charges forward, led by an axe wielder and a swordswoman. The swordswoman unleashes a three-claw flash while another launches a destruction ray. A rabbit-eared girl casts a fiery side ball as a mage conjures a flash freeze. Two other warriors join the furious assault with a flash and a piercing spear thrust. The combined attacks converge, erupting in a massive explosion that engulfs their target. The party's leaders watch the aftermath, one of them wondering if they went too far. Jade stares intently into the smoke, sensing that the battle is not yet over. As the smoke clears, the party stares in shock as the high priest floats completely unharmed. He maintains a serene, meditative cross-legged pose, his defensive power absolute. Jade looks up in alarm, recognizing the ominous stance and realizing what's about to happen. In an instant, Jade is violently launched into the sky by an unseen, powerful force. His eyes widen as he understands the devastating nature of the counterattack. The high priest's head snaps back as he channels the powerful reflective spell. Jade desperately shouts the word for barrier, trying to defend himself while airborne. The devastating counterspell is identified as the formidable Yoga Blizzard. A party member on the ground watches in terror, sweating profusely at the sight. The entire party can only look up in horror at their comrade's hopeless predicament. The high priest visibly strains, his face contorting as he maintains his hold on the spell. Jade is trapped, encased within a shimmering crystalline prison high above the battlefield. A sharp crack echoes through the air as the tide of the battle begins to turn. The magical prison shatters, freeing Jade as the High Priest is thrown off balance. The High Priest grins with triumph as his powerful attack seems to connect. Jade tumbles upside down, caught within the dissipating energy of the powerful spell. A wall of jagged ice erupts from the ground, separating the High Priest from his targets. Jade lands gracefully on his feet, having successfully broken free from the magical trap. Sarge's eye glints, a star-like symbol appearing on his forehead as he prepares his next move. He once again prepares to use his signature dimensional drug technique. He hurls the vial at the floating High Priest, declaring the attack to be useless. The High Priest roars in fury, shouting that it's his turn to attack now. Jade lunges forward, determined not to let his opponent succeed in his assault. Even without magic vision, he perfectly anticipates his opponent's movements in line of sight. With his enemy distracted by the decoy, Jade thrusts his hand forward, shouting, "Spell collapse!" The High Priest's impenetrable defensive aura shatters completely, leaving him vulnerable. His eyes widen in utter shock, sweat beading on his face as his defense crumbles. His hair stands on end as the backlash of raw magical energy surges through him. He falls helplessly from the sky as Jade watches from below, his plan successful. With a heavy thud, the High Priest crashes to the stone floor, defeated. He lies crumpled against the ground, the intense battle finally over. The party leader, Zine, rushes to Jade's side, asking if he is all right. Zine remarks on the bodyguard's incredible skill, relieved that his final attack somehow missed. Jade explains that he intentionally made the attack miss, much to his companion's bewilderment. Jade realizes with a wry smile that Jade's weak, unassuming barrier was the key. Jade reflects on the differences between simple game physics and this world's real-world applications. He explains how a barrier's gradient can create windless zones to alter an attack's trajectory. He adds that the precise angle of the barrier is also a crucial factor in the technique. He smiles awkwardly, realizing his highly technical explanation was probably too difficult for them. He hesitates for a moment before deciding to change the subject. He turns to Zane and makes a serious suggestion: they should retreat now. Zen looks at him, surprised by the sudden proposal to turn back. Jade's expression is firm and analytical, his reasoning for retreat sound and cautious. Zine argues that since they defeated the Cerberus and the guard, they should be safe to proceed. Jade counters that there is a low but non-zero probability that a stronger guard awaits them. Zine turns away, silently acknowledging the logic but feeling a strong pull to continue. He admits to himself that arguing further against Jade's logic would be difficult. His own desire to challenge the palpable pressure that lies ahead is strong. He turns back to his team, a confident smile on his face, ready to advance. Jade also feels the desire to press on, unwilling to show any weakness to his comrades. He considers the powerful skills he could acquire: range arrangement and magic control interruption. Zine declares that if they were to retreat, he would acquire those two skills anyway. With the decision now made, the party accepts the new reality of moving forward. The women in the party share a look of determined resolve, ready for the next challenge. The dark-haired woman's expression is one of quiet, unwavering strength. The mage and the archer also look ready for whatever comes next, their spirits high. The entire party stands before a massive stone door, prepared to advance with grim determination. Jade internally weighs his options for using his powerful, peerless gauge in the coming fight. He recognizes the high probability of being forced into making severe, difficult decisions. He acquires super concentration, a skill that slows his perception of time. He reinforces his barrier skill to a formidable +25 in preparation for the battle. He anticipates a powerful foe who might use a devastating technique like Yoga Blizzard. The party stands before the final gateway, knowing the challenges ahead will be severe. With a deep, grinding groan, the massive doors begin to swing open. The entire party stands rigid with tension as the gateway opens, revealing the darkness within. A group of black-robed figures stands in a stone hall, led by a menacing eye-patch-wearing man with a scythe. From their perspective, a party of adventurers waits at the far end of the chamber. A white-haired youth, Jade, assesses the 10 new enemies before his party. He grimly notes that these new foes are all stronger than their previous opponents. The eye-patch-wearing leader and his followers stare back with cold, confident smirks. An assassin pharmacist named Sargus unleashes a dimensional throw with hydrofluoric acid. The cultist leader effortlessly shatters the attack with a dark barrier, expressing his contempt. Sargus looks on, his expression one of calm surprise at the negated attack. The cultist leader's face is cast in shadow, his confidence absolute. He and his followers taunt the adventurers, inviting them to provide some entertainment. The adventurer party leader, Zane, watches with a grim, determined expression. Jade and a female adventurer share a look of focused resolve. A different cultist with two-toned hair roars, eager for the coming battle. Jade activates his shukuchi technique, preparing to move with incredible speed. He becomes a blur of motion, streaking across the battlefield in an instant. Jade appears directly before the two-toned cultist, who grins with surprised delight. The cultist's eye is wide with manic excitement at the sudden confrontation. Sticking out his tongue, he declares that the young boy is now his opponent. Jade calmly confirms that this was his intention all along. The two warriors face each other as the wider battle erupts behind them. The cultist mockingly asks Jade if he isn't being cold for ignoring his comrades. He warns Jade not to worry, sneering that his friends are capable enough. With a crazed look, he orders his men to capture everyone for a ritual. Jade enters a state of super concentration, his eyes sharply focused. The cultist unleashes a powerful cyclone attack, a vortex of destructive energy. He vows to make the adventurers sacrifices for his dark ritual. Jade calmly raises a hand, preparing to counter with a triple barrier. The massive cyclone crashes harmlessly against Jade's powerful defenses. He stands resolute, his barrier having completely nullified the ferocious attack. The cultist is impressed, expressing his surprise that Jade could block his cyclone. Jade immediately counters with a swift double crescent moon blade slash. The cultist Atto grins wildly, enjoying the challenge as he prepares to defend. He thrusts his hands forward, manifesting two dark orbs of energy. These orbs represent the simultaneous activation of multiple spell collapse formulas. Jade's eye narrows, recognizing his opponent's high level of skill. Atto's smirk widens, acknowledging that Jade perceives his power. He begins to weave his hands, preparing an even more complex spell. Jade's eyes widen in alarm as he recognizes the strange new stance. A system notification confirms he has acquired an enhanced Evasion Thunder. Atto unleashes a devastating cluster thunder attack from his wand. He bellows the name of his technique, Force Reduction, as lightning descends. Atto's faces a mask of exertion and confidence in his ultimate attack. Jade stands his ground, facing the torrent of electricity without flinching. His back is to the storm, having already activated his counter skill. He calmly invokes the name of his defensive technique, Evasion Thunder. He stands completely unharmed as the last vestiges of lightning dissipate around him. Atto grits his teeth in frustration, cursing that Jade possessed a nullification skill. A glowing orb of energy materializes in Jade's palm, a power regain. Atto is enveloped in a strange, shimmering aura, his attack turned against him. He declares that he's done underestimating the boy and is finished playing around. His eye gleams with manic intensity as he vows to show his true power. Jade watches his opponent's declaration with a calm, analytical expression. Atto chants in an ancient tongue, calling upon a god of sin to possess him. Jade's eyes widen as he identifies the incantation as forbidden ancient magic. Atto completes his transformation, his body wreathed in dark, crackling energy. Elsewhere, a battered Zine reflects on how he should have listened to Jade's warning. He stands alone amidst the bodies of his defeated comrades, surrounded by cultists. Zine realizes with grim certainty that the enemy knew their strength from the start. He closes his eyes, accepting that his misjudgment as a leader led to this. His eyes snap open, resolving to save as many of his friends as possible. He unleashes a desperate heatwave 100 fists, fighting with all his might. The eye patch-wearing Jade effortlessly blocks the fiery assault with a magical sigil. With a mocking grin, Jade asks if Zine remembers his earlier words. He lunges forward, taunting Zane to at least provide some entertainment. A dark, claw-like hand plunges through Zine's shoulder with brutal force. Jade's expression is one of cold indifference as he inflicts the wound. Zine is sent crashing to the stone floor, completely defeated. Jade coolly asks if the fight is over already after just one poke. Lying on the ground, Zine struggles to breathe, utterly broken. He weakly asks his tormentor why he doesn't just kill him. Zine looks up, his eyes filled with a mixture of pain and confusion. The eye patch-wearing Jade's visible eye glints with cruel amusement. He explains Zane is more valuable alive as a sacrifice for a ritual. With a sadistic grin, Jade promises to let him taste a living hell. Zane's spirit finally breaks, his face a mask of utter despair. He looks at his fallen comrades, whispering that it's all his fault. Tears of guilt and regret stream down his face. His eye reflects the profound sorrow of his failure. Jade appears, facing the transformed Atto, recognizing this foe as a higher level. In Jade's eye, a reflection shows the massacre of Zine's party. His eye widens in shock as he realizes what has happened elsewhere. A flashback shows Ado completing his Crimson Apotheosis transformation. A diagram shows Jade's understanding of NSO's enemy ranks. Jade declares with confidence that there are no enemies here he cannot defeat. The characters for Peerless Under Heaven fill the screen, signifying his ultimate state. He resolves to annihilate all enemies before his Musu gauge runs out. The transformed Ado is intrigued that Jade also possesses a strengthening skill. He finds the turn of events to be very interesting. Jade moves with blinding speed, cutting down his first opponent. The eye patch-wearing Jade stares in disbelief at Jade's sudden, overwhelming power. Jade becomes a whirlwind of death, dispatching cultists 2, 3, and 4. He looks on with cold focus amidst the carnage he is creating. The remaining cultists are horrified, calling him a monster. He continues his rampage, felling enemies 5 and 6 in a flurry of blows. His deadly dance concludes with the defeat of cultists 7 and 8. A muscular cultist orders Jade to circle around for a pincer attack. The muscular man's eyes burn with rage as he vows to kill Jade. He charges forward, unleashing a powerful Conway tackle. Jade is caught in the tackle, the impact creating a massive shockwave. The eye patch-wearing Jade thrusts his hand forward, attempting a fatal Claw of Darkness thrust. A blonde-haired young man named Jade stands with a determined expression, his body crackling with energy. An eye patch-wearing man in a dark hood expresses his shock and disbelief. The hooded figure becomes a blur, moving with incredible, almost instantaneous speed. The name of this high-speed technique, Shukuchi, flashes across the scene. Jade's hair whips to the side as an unseen powerful attack narrowly misses him. With a calm and analytical expression, Jade utters a soft sound of surprise. Leaping into a low crouch, Jade swings his sword in a powerful counterattack. A muscular man leaps down, taunting Jade and questioning if he can withstand this. With a flash of brilliant light, Jade blocks the man's powerful punch. The man grins, impressed by Jade's resilience, acknowledging it as the second blow. Their fists clash again in a furious exchange, the force shattering the air. A nearby stone wall cracks and splinters from the sheer power of their battle. Amidst the rubble, the two warriors face off, their swords locked in a stalemate. The third blow connects, exploding against the wall in a flash of white light. Jade watches the aftermath, his expression serious and focused amidst the falling dust. The two combatants stand apart in the ruined landscape, a tense calm settling. The muscular man smirks, correctly guessing that Jade's transformation has a time limit. Jade acknowledges that his opponent has seen through his ability's weakness. With a predatory grin, the man declares this next attack will be the last. A diagram explains his Conway tackle, a 4-stage combo with escalating power. Jade understands that taking the final hit in his current state means certain death. His opponent gathers a massive aura, preparing to unleash his ultimate technique. As the man charges, Jade raises a hand, already formulating a counterplan. He unleashes his own skill, Parallel Jail, a magic circle forming on his hand. The charging man is sucked headfirst into a swirling black portal in midair. He looks up in utter bewilderment, questioning what is happening to him. He is pulled violently into the vortex, disappearing from the battlefield. Trapped inside, he struggles to hold back the crushing force of the portal. His eyes are wide with shock and confusion as he demands to know what occurred. The muscular man is aghast, unable to believe his opponent's incredible power. Jade reveals there is a trick to refilling his powerful Musu gauge. His trapped foe shouts in disbelief, unable to comprehend how such a skill could be reused. A diagram explains how the Conway tackle's preliminary strikes refilled Jade's gauge. Jade unleashes a powerful counterattack, a torrent of dark energy erupting from him. His eyes blaze with power as he announces this is his 10th strike. The first blow of his counterattack slams into his opponent with devastating force. The second strike hits, the victim impressed by his foe's tenacity. The third blow smashes him against a wall, shattering the stone around him. The wall cracks and crumbles under the overwhelming impact of the attack. The two warriors face each other amidst the rubble, the battle seemingly concluded. A final explosive blow lands, ending the furious exchange in a flash of light. Jade looks on, his expression serious and focused after his hard-won victory. The battlefield is quiet, the two combatants standing apart in the ruins. The muscular man smirks, correctly guessing that Jade's transformation had a time limit. Jade acknowledges that his opponent has read the situation correctly. The muscular man crouches, declaring the next attack will be the last. A diagram explains the Conway tackle, a 4-stage combo with exponentially increasing power. Jade knows that if he is hit by the final blow, he will die instantly. The man gathers a massive aura of power, preparing to unleash the devastating attack. As he charges forward, Jade raises a hand, thinking he has a counter. Jade invokes Parallel Jail, a glowing magic circle forming around his hand. The charging man is suddenly sucked into a swirling black portal in midair. He looks up in utter shock and confusion, questioning what is happening. He is violently pulled into the vortex, disappearing from the battlefield. Trapped within the dimensional prison, he braces against the crushing force from above. His eyes are wide with disbelief as he demands to know what just occurred. He is utterly aghast at the turn of events. Jade explains the trick to refilling his Musu gauge. The man shouts in disbelief, unable to comprehend how such a skill could be reused. A diagram shows how the preliminary strikes of the tackle refilled Jade's gauge. Jade unleashes a powerful counterattack, a torrent of dark energy erupting from him. His eyes blaze with power as he declares this is his 10th strike. The battlefield is littered with defeated foes as Jade stands victorious. The muscular man coughs up blood, defeated but not yet silenced. Jade stands over him, sword in hand, the victor of their grueling battle. The defeated man warns Jade that even so, he cannot win against him. He reveals that Jade's own master was the one who annihilated their main force. Jade grimly dismisses the warning as a common cliché from a defeated enemy. He stands atop the fortress wall, reflecting on the recent battle. He muses that his Kokushi Musu skill allowed him to use his ultimate ability twice. He thinks that, in his powered-up state, he could have even wiped out the healers. Inside the fortress, Jade uses his power to restore his weary comrades. He looks surprised by the praise he receives from his allies. He looks on with a gentle expression as his companion apologizes. Zine, the leader, acknowledges that Jade is a powerhouse on a different level. He admits with shame that he should have been the one to lead them. He apologizes for pushing the entire burden of the mission onto Jade. He offers a simple, heartfelt apology for his failure. He bows his head low, thanking Jade for saving all of them. Jade looks down at his humbled comrade, his expression softening. He tells Zine to lift his head, saying he just did what he could. Zine looks up, surprised by Jade's humble words. Jade gestures to the other members of the party, acknowledging their efforts. The diverse group of adventurers stands together, a united force. They all share a look of relief and camaraderie after the hard-fought victory. The expedition commander looks on, agreeing with Jade's sentiment. He confirms that everyone played their part in the victory. He claps his hands, thanking everyone and telling them to stay vigilant. The moment of calm is shattered by a sudden, violent tremor. The adventurers are thrown off balance as the fortress begins to shake violently. The commander bellows the urgent command for everyone to evacuate the building. In the ruined courtyard, the victorious party regroups amidst the debris. The leaders on the rampart ask if the tremors have finally stopped. Jade feels a sense of unease, knowing all the combatants should be defeated. The muscular man recalls his foe's last words, sensing that something is still wrong. A violent explosion erupts from the courtyard, catching everyone by surprise. A spiky-haired warrior leaps into the air, shouting that something has appeared. Sardi, the blonde mage, cries out in disbelief, asking if it's a demon. The commander looks on, his face a mask of confusion and dread. A lone, human-like figure floats in the sky, its presence incomprehensible to the onlookers. A monstrous, horned man with wild white hair and claws grins sadistically at his audience. Stunned, a burly adventurer asks what this new, terrifying creature could possibly be. A spiky-haired warrior glares, demanding to know where this hidden enemy came from. The party's mage cries out, certain that such an immense power should not have escaped her magical search. Jade realizes this is a modified human, a product of a ritual he failed to stop. His eyes narrow with the grim conclusion that this was all prepared in advance. His thoughts confirm the creature is a trap, hidden from his senses and activated upon their victory. The monstrous being raises a hand, a brilliant, star-shaped point of light igniting in his palm. A mage identifies the immense power as reverse magic, urging his comrades to counter it immediately. The blonde mage, Sardi, screams a desperate command for her allies to fire their spells. She and another caster unleash a plus-fire spell in a futile attempt to intercept. The creature unleashes his attack, a devastating wave of intersecting, cross-shaped bolts of light. On the fortress wall, the adventurers watch as the terrifying attack pattern fills the sky. High above, the monster's face is a mask of pure sadistic glee as he revels in the destruction. Jade stares in shock, recognizing the cross-shaped light and expressing his utter disbelief. His hand clenches tightly, a physical reaction to the horrifying knowledge of who he is facing.